when you're ready. Take your time. Take your time.
All right.
All right, you guys ready? Mm-hmm. Cool. Here we go. All right, we're D on me.
She is.
Copy that. Bronwyn, Jason, welcome to Going Again podcast. Thank you so much for being here. You are our first double guest.
Woohoo!
If that's what you call it.
Yeah, living the dream, getting the first prize here.
This is incredible.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoyed being here. Bye now.
Well, where do we start?
Well, I'm just so happy they didn't wear their cowboy hats because of the headphones.
Yeah, I actually thought about that. I did think that maybe you guys would wear cowboy hats and be disappointed you had to pull them off and have your hat hair and all this stuff.
But did you see Bronwyn's boots?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Unbelievable. What do you call those?
Boots.
Yeah, they're just basically buckaroo ladies' cowboy boots.
Well, they're
And
great.
Okay.
Hair on.
There's-
Hair on because it's the cowhide on the outside. So
Oh, my.
Hair on?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know this. What does that mean?
Well, it means just that the hide of the cow is on the outside. So it's like they're furry. If you touch them, they're like
Really?
Yeah.
So so as opposed to a normal everyday cowboy boot, a leather boot,
Yeah.
they've made it inside out.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh, first time I ever heard of that.
yeah, so you can get them in plenty of colors because obviously cattle are all different colors. So
Blue,
Cool. They're beautiful.
purple.
not purple. I don't know about that.
Well.
Unless you know a purple cow.
Well, there was that one time in the 70s when I was...
When you got into the good stuff you weren't supposed to.
Totally.
Bronwyn, can you bring your mic up a little bit closer, please? Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just like that. And if you guys want to lean in and out, that's fine. Just
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Why are you guys here? Because I'm teasing.
Because you invited
Andrew
us.
asked us.
No, I love it. You have a TV show on
The
the
Cowboy
Now.
Channel.
The Cowboy Channel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's plays on a couple channels actually. There's the Cowboy Channel Canada, and then there's one RFD-TV Canada. Those two are very closely linked.
Okay.
So the same company that runs the one runs the other.
Yeah, what does RFD stand for? I saw it. I saw it on your website.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for asking that
Yeah.
question right now.
Rural.
The rural. We've always.
Farming? No, I don't. It stands for RFD. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about the Cowboy Channel.
The other one's more self-explanatory.
Yeah.
The other one, the R stands for rural.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so the truth of it is you guys are horse people,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about the puppies. But yeah, this is awesome. And Andrew met you on Canada's Got Talent.
No. You met Bronwyn on a commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
me.
a number of months ago.
You
Yeah.
met them.
No, I never met him on Canada's Got Talent.
Let's
we
start- We're gonna start over.
but we had been chatting recently, and Bronwyn had mentioned that she had met you on a
Yes, that's
commercial.
true. Was it a Nissan job?
Toyota.
Toyota.
Yeah. So
And you were obviously riding a horse.
no, I was rearing a horse on a mountain in
Yeah.
the rain,
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
lightning.
But were you on the horse when you
No.
were rearing? Oh, okay.
I was hiding behind the trailer and giving the cue for the horse to rear in the actor's hand. And
Oh, cool.
then they had
Okay.
to load the horses on the trailer. And
It was a fun little spot where the
It
father
was.
was explaining around a campfire to the children about this guy that had this Toyota. And he went to the top of the mountain to rescue the horses.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was fun. So you've been up there a million times.
Was it in Milton there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we put
a
the
beautiful
vehicles
spot.
up there.
It is.
Yeah, we've been up there a million times putting Subarus up there,
Just
and
every kind of
Fords,
car.
and all kinds of stuff.
Of course, Fords go
Okay.
up there.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
That's right.
Ford guy. Shout out to Ford. I'm looking for a sponsor. But yeah, no, it was a great spot. So, who was the fella doing the actor? No, there was an actor apparently trying to calm the horse down from rearing,
Yeah.
but there was another fella there,
I'm not sure.
horse guy, animal trainer guy.
Oh, Kirk. Yes.
Oh yeah, Kirk. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Shout out to Kirk, but
Yeah.
we're not here to talk about Kirk. So how do you do that? Like, I went on your website, and of course it's on Canada's Got Talent if everybody wants to look it up. How do you make a horse rear like that? Like,
One thing is, I think it takes kind of a special horse to do that because it's just not your everyday horse that's going to rear, and nor should your everyday horse rear because that gets dangerous in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
So this mare here, Kate, she has been working on the rear for a couple years, and she is really well trained in liberty and tricks. So she's very respectful of people's space. So I 100% trust her that she's not going to come down on someone's head if she rears in the air and drops her feet. But it takes kind of a lot of energy on your part. It's funny when you're training horses because you have to be calm. They read your energy, but then they also read the energy to do a bigger trick. So with the rear there, hiding about 10 or 12 feet away from the horse, and having the rain come down, like just that lowers the energy of the situation in general. Mind you, the action around it was kind of upbeat for sure. And to try to catch her eye with, like my hand and my cue stick that I have, and then put my whips up and she goes up in the air. So
see, for me as the stunt coordinator and stunt driver on that spot, I'm watching special effects guys with their rain towers, crew, camera, an animal, a horse, on the edge of a cliff. Now, of course, she wasn't on the edge, Kate. She was a good 30 feet away from it. But if anything ever went wrong or she got spooked, see, that's what's going through my mind. So she's basically unspookable. Oh my God.
What makes her the special horse to do this?
She's a horse that can read body language, and she tries to do a good job. She actually reads a room very well. Like, she'll go in and kind of understand what you want her to do. And that's really years of working with her and a couple of the other horses I have. And that's just mainly being predictable to them. So saying, in this situation, I'll keep you safe. And then doing it over and over and over again until that horse says, oh, you kept me safe 100 times. I can trust you here too.
Right.
And so more or less, I really think she's a professional. She honestly just acts like a professional. She does a job and then she quits. And then she's just like, okay, I'm done.
May I ask how old Kate is?
Kate is.
I don't mean to, be rude to a young lady.
She's 15.
Oh, she's 15.
Yeah.
And what? I know there's different kinds of horses. What kind of horse is she?
She's an American quarter horse.
Okay.
So, yeah. So her other job is she's my barrel racing horse and my pole bending horse in the rodeos. And she's done lots of showing. But again, she's a high-end Liberty horse, which means she works loose, which is what she did on Canada's Got Talent.
Yeah, she just walked out there by herself and did the spinning thing by herself.
Yeah, I thought it was funny on Canada's Got Talent. I said to the producer, well, I was standing there and she just had a halter and a lead rope. And I said, this horse is going to be loose, And she goes, what is she now? And I was like, not loose. I'm going to let her loose though.
And Jason, just so you know, if you want to ever say anything, you can.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm not the only one who has trained Kate. Like, Jason has had his hand on, in everything with the horse.
I can only imagine,
stuff. So, yeah.
And you guys are married?
Yep.
How long's that been
to
for?
each other?
Yes.
Good question. 9 years.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And how long have you guys been training horses together for this amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of how we met. Bronwyn bought some horses off me and that. My family.
Sneaky bugger.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I thought I was really pulling this off. I thought I was pretty smart here. I sold all the horses and got the girl, and then married her and got all the horses back again, which wasn't kind of in the plan and stuff like this. So I was kind of like, for a while there, I thought I was batting 100, and then you're kind of like, well, who is the smart one?
Yeah.
Well, just a second.
That's pretty funny.
He got the girl.
Yeah.
He got the cash. Yeah. And he got his horses back.
I know, honestly.
Yeah, but now I can't sell them again.
That.
Yeah, you can learn from this man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Kind of clever.
I don't think I'm done with Kate yet.
No, she's cool.
Keep going.
So how did you start that? Okay, so now, a number of things come up into my mind. I love horses.
Mm-hmm.
What's pole bending?
I know. Pole bending is where you have 6
Sounds nasty.
upright poles in a row, and it's a speed event. You run down past all of them, and then you weave in and out, and then weave in and out, and then run back through the timer line. And it's a sport in the rodeo tour here in Ontario, and it's a sport in the States everywhere. So.
Okay, so you've got 6 poles.
Bending around the
Yeah.
A certain distance from each other.
21 feet.
21 feet from each other.
Yeah.
So on
like a
go,
slalom, sort of.
what's that?
It's got that slalom
Like a
feel.
slalom thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So on go, you ride down along one side all the way to the other end.
Yeah. Well, you race down.
Yes, as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
you
you
mentioned
ride.
timer.
Yeah.
So you get to the end, you turn around the end pole, and then you slalom back through the other ones.
Yes.
No doubt hitting them,
Bending.
bending them.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
And then then once you're through, you've got to run back down again all the way. Race
Yes, race back, and yes,
Yeah.
all the way back
yes,
through the timer
yeah.
thing.
So, anyways, we've done very well in that event in the rodeo. We've qualified for the Ram Rodeo Championships a few times, and the Royal Winter Fair, and the Toyota Dealers Rodeo, actually. So
It's all
we
about
qualified for a lot. I know.
They keep coming
Toyota
up.
better sponsor this episode.
I hope so. Shout out to Toyota.
Well, that's cool because I've seen that on your website as well.
Yeah.
And just so right off the top, what's your website? What's
www.thehorsetrainers.com.
perfect? Yeah. So
3 W's? Is that what that is?
Yep.
what does that stand for?
World Wide Web.
We got that one.
You know it's 2023, right?
I know.
Well, that's great because I didn't know what pole bending was. I love rodeo.
Yeah.
I grew up watching rodeo on TV, and I used to go as a kid and watch. And
Yeah.
I was once offered to ride a bull, and I told them I was a stuntman. I wasn't stupid.
Yeah. That's funny.
You don't want to do something
Surprised
dangerous.
You haven't rode a bull, actually.
No. Been on a lot of horses, got thrown.
It sounds
fell
like
off.
fun, though.
You
Yeah.
know, I fall off horses on purpose,
Yeah.
but no, there's no. I mean, isn't it the bull's mandate to kill you?
They're pretty aggressive.
Yeah, it seems to depend. I've not done that one either, but they want them where they're pretty athletic and can toss you, obviously, but then sometimes they'll kind of get the boot if they're a little too aggressive on the ground, like they get somebody off
really?
and then try to go back and kill them. So
Yeah.
sometimes they don't want those kicking around
Well,
too
most
long.
of them
Yeah.
don't look happy.
They
They're-
don't appear happy.
they'll come out really though, and they just give it their all for 8 seconds and it's over. And so I don't know that, like really they're bred to be extremely athletic. They're bred for that job.
You get on.
True.
Yeah. Well, I've been on lots of bucking horses.
Yeah. Have you done that kind of thing where you got a horse just bucking you, trying to get you off like that?
Oh yeah, well, not on purpose, but yes.
Okay.
So I don't enter in the rodeos, but my idea was training horses for a really long time. So like if the first person on one is more often than not me and stuff like that, and then we used to take in a lot of them for training that were like problem horses that they were bucking people off, and we had to fix that and stuff along that line.
Wow.
So it's like not on purpose was I riding them, but you kind of that ends up being part of it sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I can imagine bringing a horse down to a sort of a calmer level has got to be a difficult task.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an art to it. It's just a fair bit of experience obviously goes into it, but there's usually a little bit of a combination of things. So sometimes that you kind of have a horse that has had some bad past experiences. Sometimes they're just matched up sort of to the wrong person. So if you get a horse that's really flighty with somebody that's really nervous, sometimes that's kind of like oil and water going together. It just doesn't fit and stuff like that. So yeah, there's sort of an art to the horses, but then you kind of have to have them where they can get along with the people too.
It's kind
That's
of a neat
interesting.
gig, man.
So you mentioned something earlier, Bronwyn, about where the horse learns to trust you. You do something once, it didn't get hurt, so you do it again and again and again, and it doesn't get hurt, so it begins to trust you. It's similar to the way I've learned cowboys, like stunt guys, will train a horse to fall, and you lay him down softly here, and then eventually you've got them running and doing a fall. But I heard once, correct me, please, I need some validation on this, that a horse can read your heartbeat from a fair distance away from there, like 5 or 6 feet. when a human being approaches a horse, that horse can sense your heartbeat, and that horses can moderate their heartbeats when in a group so that they're all the same in a herd. And then the one horse or the two horses or whatever they're the lookouts, and a bad animal or somebody comes, their heartbeat races, and the other horses feel that horse's heart race, which causes them all to alert and take a hike.
Tell him he's wrong.
Well, I don't know for a fact if he is or isn't wrong. It's not. I don't know as far as the actual heartbeat goes, but they're extremely good at reading energy, and so that's kind of where, like for instance, the commercial where the horse is rearing up on the mountain, that one there can read. Okay, energy comes up, time to do something. Then you drop your energy, then the animal comes back down. So a lot of times, somebody that's pretty good with horses, when things are going wrong, the person that's not good is excited and nervous and kind of carrying on a bit. The person that's good with them looks like they're ready to have a nap pretty much all the time. And something's going wrong, the other person needs to be extremely calm. But I would think, like in your world, if somebody's a stunt coordinator and they're screaming and crying and stuff like this, you probably know that things aren't going very well either. So somebody has to be the calm one, and that in a situation.
That's interesting.
That's kind of a weird correlation.
Andrew's always, you're always screaming and crying.
Yeah.
I didn't mean there's literally someone going to be doing it, but I just mean like if you see somebody, they're obviously out of sorts.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to read off that. They're kind of the same way. If somebody is very calm, they're going to usually take from that person a little bit. If somebody's really high energy, then they're going to take that as being a bad sign as well.
But some people are like panicky.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to jump in and get this person out of there because how much does a horse weigh? A few thousand.
Oh no, like the ones that we would weigh probably 1,200.
Okay.
The one on the mountain probably 1,300.
They're light, 1,200.
Yeah, that's nothing.
I've had them fall on me and then stay still, and that time you realize just how heavy 1,200 is.
Oh my,
they're kind of doing that.
Yeah. Holy.
But yeah, horses are the masters of reading body language, and they read your energy for sure. So like that's how they get along in a herd, is they watch where the other horse is looking, how their ears are, kind of what like body part is moving towards them, and that's how we really train them. We try to train them almost like they're talking to each other, except for we're in the place of the other horse, kind of trying to speak their body language per se. That's how we try to train, so that we get more of the mental part of the horse over with us.
Is there an alpha leader?
Yeah,
horses,
to this?
There's a very set herd dynamic,
Yeah.
and that's something when somebody's trying to train one, a lot of times the person doesn't understand it. If you're sort of the one that they actually kind of want somebody ahead of them in a weird way, and that because the idea being if there's the boss one of the bunch, it's not that it's the boss because they're afraid of it. It's the boss because it's the one that's going to kind of keep an eye out and keep everybody safe. And that's kind of where, again, like with the example of the mountain, the rearing there, that horse kind of understands that, yes, Bronwyn's the boss, but not in the way that it's like, you need to listen and do everything I say. It's more that I'll kind of
protect
you and kind of keep you out of trouble and stuff like that.
That's
so they actually take a comfort in that.
Yeah.
And there, that's actually knowing that is important. But a lot of times you'll hear someone say, "Show them who's boss," and the idea is they think you're going to go out and be mean or drive a point home, and that's not really the idea behind it.
No.
Interesting. How spooked can a horse get by, like, let's say the actor that's sitting by the horse? Do you worry about it when you go to sets or do something like that? Do you go, I got to work with this?
Well, you
person?
had a few safeties around, didn't you? Like
We had
some on the edges or around peripheral edge.
Yeah, they there was a couple people for sure that came up with us, and to be honest, I think that just again it goes to trusting your horse and having the right horse for the job too. Like you just wouldn't bring any horse up to do that, and so we made sure that it was Kate and not another horse that would maybe feel like, oh gosh, all these people around, I'm going to kick somebody, so.
I think sometimes too, actually, if you're working with somebody, in a way, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
So if you have somebody that's completely unaware, they're not going to be doing anything high energy because they're like, oh, it's going to be fine.
Like,
even if they're teetering on the edge
too.
of not fine.
Yeah.
And it's almost the nervous person that's aware things could be a problem. They're almost the person you have to watch out for a little bit. So if they either know nothing or know a lot, that's great. The middle ground is sometimes not the best area.
Yeah.
So
Like-
that's almost like anything.
Yeah,
really.
well, it's almost like the horse. They're like the horse, where they just think, well,
Yeah.
you're the boss. Or you're
Exactly.
keeping us protected. It's all good.
It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Like after I reared
Okay.
Kate, then she was handed off to one of the little actresses who loaded her in the trailer.
Right.
And loading in the trailer is usually a problem for a lot of horses. And it's like she just, oh, okay, this lady wants me to get on the trailer now so she can listen to other people. It's just that I had her attention for the first part, the way we turned her to see me and stuff. So yeah. And then I got locked in the trailer too. They thought it would be better if I went in the trailer to rear the horse, but then nobody opened the door.
Oh, jeez.
I think I remember
You need
that.
a walkie. You need a walkie on you.
It's hilarious.
But it was only for a minute, but I thought it was really funny. I'm like, okay, the horse is not going to rear from
Yeah,
me in here.
And I can't put the spot on this podcast, but the spot turned out really well, and the horses
Yeah.
they looked great.
Yeah. It looked really
Oh,
good.
that's
The
good.
finished product was cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Do you do many commercials?
Not really. We mainly do our own TV show. Then we did that one commercial, and then the Canada's Got Talent. So, but with our own TV show, we've done over 70 original episodes, and we'll have over
Amazing.
80 by the end of the summer and stuff. So,
And where can people find this TV show?
the Cowboy Channel Canada and RFD-TV Canada.
What does RFD stand?
Thank you.
So the Cowboy Channel is a channel on television?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
it's on Bell 5 and Shaw Direct and lots
Telesoptic.
of yeah.
And then I don't know how that's going to work now because Rogers, I just guess, bought out Shaw and that. So I don't know if they're going to have it now before too long as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us where
That's
this
cool.
started, how it all began. Kind of tell us about the show and why you started. I mean, other than wanting to train people.
Yeah. Well, a lot of what we do is we teach what we call clinics. So the idea would be that we would go to a farm or something like that, and they would host a clinic. So we would come in and basically teach everybody there how to train their horses. And then sort of in our world, building off that, the trainers and the folks that have sort of been the brand name people and stuff, a lot of them had shows on this station, RFD-TV and the Cowboy Channel, but those stations were really only available in the US for a really long time. So in Canada, people were always, oh, I wish I could get those stations and I wish I could get them. And then an outfit from Western Canada called Wild TV that kind of specializes in like outdoor shows, hunting, fishing, anything along that line. They bought the rights to bring it to Canada. But at the same time, they didn't really have any Canadian content for those stations, and they wanted some of that. So we were kind of hunting around a little bit for a TV show in a way. We always kind of had it in the back of our mind that we would like to do that because we'd seen other people do it and been pretty successful with it. And then these guys just happened to get that rights kind of at the exact same time as we were looking. So they were looking for somebody Canadian and we were looking for a show. So it just kind of worked out pretty right.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And but it was tricky in the beginning though, because actually what ended up happening was we were going back and forth with them in the spring, and then it was almost like we had a deal put together, but it was just kind of like the contract never got signed, and things were almost like 90% of the way there, and you couldn't get the last little bit. And then that was kind of when COVID came along. So everything just kind of disappeared for a while. So we sort of thought, well, that's done and over and move on. And then all of a sudden they popped back up in the fall and said, would you still like to do this? And we basically said, yep. And they're like, okay, we'll send you the contract this afternoon. And it's done. And but the only thing was, before, we assumed it was going to start in the fall. So we had the late spring and all summer to film and that kind of thing. And then basically when they said, yeah, we need it, they also said that we need 13 original episodes starting next month and stuff like this. So all of a sudden, and we had never made, like, we'd made YouTube videos and stuff, but we'd never made a show. And you have to be pretty precise. Like, everything had to be exactly 22 minutes and 30 seconds. And like just all the different things that a person wouldn't have to worry if they're just doing their own thing.
Oh, of course.
And that,
Yeah.
so we got rolling on that one. And then it was raining every day. So you're trying to film the one day a week where the sun is out, and just everything is going wrong as far as getting it ready. And then even we made our original episode and sent it into them, and we're like, is that kind of what you guys had in mind? And they're like, oh yeah, we like it a lot, but it suits the one station more than the other. So maybe we'll just go with the one station. And we kind of didn't want to lose the chance at the two though, because we kind of thought we had the pair of them. So anyways, we're like, well, we have some other topics that would maybe suit the other one a little bit better than this one. So fine. So we kind of, some would work for both and some only worked for one. So in a way it was nice because we got the second station back again. But the bad part was we just volunteered to move from 13 to 18 episodes that we had to do. And that, so then we're kind of like, you're happy, but then you're kind of kicking yourself maybe at the same time. And that, so anyways, we got rolling on that. And then we had to make all these episodes in the rain and all that kind of stuff. So we got through the first season, and then after that, everything was a heck of a lot easier. But
so who shoots this?
Us. That was actually one of the things, because at the time, again, COVID was still at full max, and they couldn't send out crews. They couldn't have anybody around. And so this is like when nobody was filming anything, but we could do it ourselves because we're just at home basically, and that. But then again, we kind of, I don't know if say we created a problem, but because we did it all by ourselves, then they're kind of like, oh yeah, you guys are good at this. Just carry on doing what you do and stuff that.
Wow. So in the beginning, we're like, what does a producer do?
Yeah.
They're like,
well, literally the guy on the phone, he was almost like he's going to say, yes, it's a done deal. And then he goes, by the way, you're going to have to produce it yourself. And I'm like, yep, no problem. And then there's a silence. And I'm like, and what does a producer do?
Oh my God.
That's the age-old question.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Oh, that's funny. So you shoot it yourself. How many cameras do you use?
Two.
Two.
So you just push the button and then walk in front of the camera and start talking?
No, not well. Sometimes too, we'll use my younger brother. He'll run one and that. But a lot of it, because it is showing training, having two people on the screen at the same time doesn't make sense. And that, so we'll use a helper when we're doing both of us. And then a lot of times too, when we're using the two, one person will be running the one camera and the other's just stationary, because the second one is more about catching some neat shots on the way by. It's not to really show what we're doing. It's just to kind of have some
do your own
clips.
editing?
Yeah, everything, right till it gets sent to like the Wild TV folks, and then they put it on the.
So now, do you package it with all the titles and everything too, or do they do that?
You mean like our closed caption?
That and credits?
We send the closed caption into them. They have a department that does that. But everything else, we do the whole thing start to finish and make all of our own commercials. So I should say, yes, I've done lots of commercials. Tons, really. But with the horse training show, like it's quite a bit different than what, a production with actors is going to be, because you have to catch it on the first time. That horse is not going to move the same on the second time.
Right.
And so when you go to fix that, you have to be like, okay, see how this horse just did this? And then we fix it and train and tell people what we're doing along the way.
Well, that's all a part of it. Even the mistakes are a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
So there's no room for a blooper reel?
Oh, we definitely
there's
have
a few of them.
blooper reels.
When we tried to start it, I swear we could not pick a day where something wasn't happening. Like the moment you turn the cameras on, everybody around us that owned a tractor would fire it up and hook their noisiest machinery up to it and go banging around, and that would go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
In the time that we've been there, so like my family, it's the farm that we're at, and there, so like Bronwyn's been there 10 years, but we've been there about 30 years. And that in that entire time, you know those little dust devils, they look like a little mini tornado.
Sure.
And in that entire time, I've seen two. So in 30 years, there's been two dust devils. And that, so the one day we were trying to film and it wasn't working, and then I had to go away for something. So Bronwyn was just going to film herself doing a little something, sets up the stuff, and then walks in front of a little dust devil, goes by and picks up the camera and throws it over the fence. And
throws up my jacket. My horse is like,
and you're like, so in 30 years, there's been two, but the one day that was sunny, there had to be a third one and come and just in the exact location to throw the camera away. And then you start again.
That's hilarious.
So you have that on video?
Oh, yeah.
The thing flying
Yeah,
over?
there's probably a neat shot, actually.
It's more my face like looking up after it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. That's hilarious.
That's awesome. Did it make a show?
Did that make the cut?
Yeah.
No,
I don't
we
think
wanted
that
it to be a little more polished, but that made the blooper reel.
Oh, that's fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
A few times we've done the blooper stuff and thrown it in at the final episode of the season or something like that.
So how many episodes do you do a year?
26.
26?
Because it'll be two.
Minimum
We'll run for 3 months and then repeat. So you have 13, and then it'll repeat. Whoa. And then the second season will start halfway through the year and it's 13 again and then repeat.
That's a lot of training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, you have to be going pretty steady at it. We're always kind of relieved when one season's over. You feel like you got a month or two to kind of not worry about it and that. But then we're starting up another one right now, so there's not a whole lot of downtime on that one.
The one thing we do to try to keep it interesting too is we ask for viewer questions. So at the end of every episode, we say, if you have any questions, send them in to our website, and hopefully we'll get to your topic in a future episode. So
that's great.
And then that keeps driving what people want to see so that we can produce what they want to see, really.
Do you ever have guests on your show?
We do. Sometimes when we film at clinics, so when we're coaching, we will have people riding around and they'll do an exercise and we'll coach them through it so that someone can see a non-professional ride.
Okay.
Because a lot of times people can't, they might have a little hard time relating to Jason and I riding a horse because they're like, well, you guys know what to do though. And it's like, yeah, but we're trying our best just to show you the steps. But when you do have someone who's maybe not as polished, it can show a little bit more true. So
then too, we've had it with like guest trainers. Sometimes we'll send in some information and stuff like that. But that's sometimes just a little tricky because you don't really want to edit somebody else's thing. So if they send in something that's a little too short or a little too long, or the quality is just not quite whatever, and you don't really want to tamper with someone else's material all that bad. So we still maybe do a little bit of that here and there, but it's not the main part of it.
Now, what do you shoot on?
Sense.
The Canon XA40.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you do the 4K?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be 4K to go to the TV show itself. It doesn't have to be 4K, but we prefer to send it in as high of a quality as we can.
Absolutely.
And then they can adjust as needed.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's awesome. Why, are you interested in falling off a horse, bud?
Yeah. As long as there's a paycheck. No, but you guys got to have stunt guys on the show.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, are you interested in producing a horse show?
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's a labor of love. I'll say that.
Yeah, big time.
So that's so cool.
The horse that you came out on Canada's Got Talent, Jason, who's she?
Yeah, that one's a he. And that, no, actually, when it comes right down to it, the pair of them were both ones that I owned at one point and then sold to Bronwyn before I married Bronwyn. So those are kind of some of the ones that sort of came back a bit. So actually, as far as the training on them, like Bronwyn did the majority of it, although I've kind of tweaked them here and there.
Do you think those two horses ever talked?
Oh, yeah. They totally have.
We're back.
I know.
Yeah.
What is wrong with that girl?
Yeah.
That. So.
And what's that horse's name?
Chief. He's a paint horse there. So he's been a really good fellow. That's actually kind of been Bronwyn's more go-to guy and stuff like that. So
more than you?
Yeah, more than. And that's he's pretty.
Okay, so the podcast has taken a turn.
No, he can do quite a few tricks and stuff like that. And he's been in, I don't know, I won't say every horse magazine there is, but he's been in a ton of them and stuff like that as well and stuff like that. Cool. So he's kind of been around the block and done quite a bit of stuff.
How old is he?
He's getting a little bit older now. He's like 16, 17.
Okay.
18.
Okay, 18.
You didn't count the 2 or 3 years he was gone.
No, I forgot about them.
Now, what gets a horse in a magazine? How does that work?
Well, a lot
They're
of that
good
is,
looking.
stylish.
It's a nice looking horse.
But no, we just kind of what we do too. Like we'll write a lot of articles and stuff like this. So he'd kind of be the model for whatever it is that we're showing off and stuff like that.
Right on.
So
Okay, I see.
you kind of like to have something a little bit eye catchy that will kind of grab attention and stuff like that.
So I was on your website. Who came up with the holy crap strap?
Oh yeah, those ones.
We both did.
Yeah, that was
really,
kind of the pair of us. But basically, that's just a strap that goes on your saddle. You can get your hand in. So if they're bucking or doing something wrong, you kind of got half a fighting chance to.
Yeah.
I came down. I told Andrew. I wrote it down.
Cool. We're sending one to Australia today.
Are you?
Yeah.
It's so odd.
Wow.
Yeah.
When I first noticed the picture, it looked sort of like a wristband.
Yeah.
Like for a person. And I'm going, hey, I might order this. And I clicked on it and went, nope.
The holy shit strap.
The holy crap strap is awesome.
Strap.
Like, what a great title, though.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, we had the very first time I got one. Now, mind you, the whole idea behind what we're doing is to try to have them where they don't buck or do anything like that. And but there's always that one in however many. So anyways, I got one of those straps made and I got on this one and it was jumping around with me pretty good. And I held on quite easily. And I remember the thought was going through my mind. It's like almost with one of these, it's almost like you can't come off if you got a good grip. So anyways, a while after that, I was on one, and it was a problem horse somebody had sent us, and it just completely lost it. So it was bucking like crazy. And I remember the thought flashing through my mind as I had my hand in the strap. It's like, I think I'm wrong. I think you still can come off even when you have one of these in. So I got tossed, and the horse was bucking so hard that I went to the side, and on the very next jump, it threw enough power and it turned over in the air and came directly over backwards and came down. And I was really breathing a sigh of relief. I got tossed. And that otherwise I would have had 1,200 pounds from 6 feet above just drop straight down on me and stuff like that. So that was the one time I was happy it didn't work.
That's funny.
Wow. Got that on camera.
Jesus.
I know.
Don't do this.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy crap.
Well, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So do you endeavor to get more into the film and television industry? And
Yeah,
that kind of
we'd
thing?
love to. I think that one of my main goals is to have like a horse that's a main character on a movie.
Okay.
Is really what I'd love to do.
Kind of like they
But-
have those ones like Hidalgo or the Black Stallion or Seabiscuit.
Well, they just shot
something.
they just shot what the new whatever the Black Beauty
Oh, yeah.
up in North Bay.
Yeah, I'd heard about that one. Yeah. And that, but no, we really enjoy that part of it. Like a lot of the training that we were doing was sort of, I guess you could kind of call it high level stuff with a bit of trick work thrown in. And a lot of that was just because people enjoyed learning about it. So we knew about it to show other people, but in a way we were already putting the stuff on them that makes them suitable for movies and film and stuff like this. So in a way, I guess you'd say we put the quote unquote cart before the horse. It wasn't that we got them ready for movie work, is that we got them ready for something else, and then they were already ready to go for the other stuff.
Yeah.
And Kirk should be an avenue. He's a friend.
We've done a little bit with him. He was based at a more Western Canada there for quite a while.
Yeah,
so
but he's here now.
kind of back
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So maybe kind of
you
do a
know
little bit
Kirk?
more there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I don't know.
But yeah, no, it's so cool. We just really like it, and being a part of any of the productions, it's been really, really quite neat.
Very
So,
cool. Yeah, there's a couple, 3 families that are really, really well known in the film and television business in Eastern Canada. So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of horse stuff gets done out in Alberta and whatever,
well, there's a lot here. A lot less, I imagine, but
Yeah.
a lot here.
I think generally, like here, you'll have a lot of ones that'll be like a TV show where they have like, there's a little farm scene or something like that, where Alberta is so great for the fact you have so much scenery. You can be in the prairies one time, in the mountains a couple hours later, and stuff like this. So they can kind of film all over and stuff like this. So if they're making like a full blown Western, you kind of have every game in town pretty close by and stuff like that. So the stuff here, I've noticed for the most part, there's lots of it, but it typically is like where we just need a scene for a couple days or like
or a horse pulling a buggy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Murdoch Mysteries.
Murdoch Mysteries and stuff like that. We've not been on that one. I know a lot of people that have been on that one. So
Yeah, I've been on it a few times. Not on a horse, but
Yeah.
been on the show.
Yeah, he stunted on it. So did I for years, and then coordinated. But I think Tommy Bishop does Murdoch Mysteries.
Okay.
They always have, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Do you know the Bishops?
No, to be honest with you, I know the name comes up quite a bit and stuff like that. We've actually had a lot of the people, not so much, although we've had some of the people that are the trainers and the animal coordinators, they've been in our clinics quite a bit. Not those guys specifically. And then quite a few of the people that have been in our clinics have been like a lot of the extras or the SECs on a lot of the others.
For
So
sure.
sometimes they'll come along and it's like, we need this horse to know this trick for this shot.
Right.
Can you kind of show us how you would go about that and stuff like that? So
Do you train riders as well? Like,
Oh, yeah,
how
yeah.
to ride?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like that's a pretty big part of our overall business. So
Okay, cool.
a lot of it is teaching folks and that, and then we travel all over the place too. So we'll go like to what's called horse expos. And
You're in
that, so-
California, right?
Yeah, we were just in California last week there.
Awesome.
And that, so we were down there. That was the first time we ever been to that event. But so in April, for example, we were in, we did one in Ontario, then we went to Ohio and did one, then we went to Alberta and did one. And then we were kind of more home for May, and then we took off to California.
Okay,
and
so
stuff
then
like
what do you do at these things?
they're a little bit of everything. So for instance, like we'll sometimes teach people how to train horses, but sort of like little short seminars at those. And then other times we'll put on demonstrations. So like at the California one, they bring in a horse that's never been rode before. And then I kind of got 90 minutes to show them how you could go about it and then get on and ride around and stuff like that. So very often I'll put like the first ride on one at a seminar like that. But the California one was a little bit tricky. We got down there and they lost our clothes, our trade show booth, and all our equipment for working with them and stuff like this. So we get there and we'd go to the trade show every morning and buy a new set of clothes at the the vendor deal. And then we're running around buying like equipment to get through the sort of the demos and stuff like that. So it made life maybe a little bit harder than what it needed to be. But it was still a really good deal.
I feel like it took me 3 months to pick out what I was going to wear in California. And then I get down there and I'm wearing a men's button-up shirt because that's all I could find. So okay.
We were supposed to go to the California event for the last 4 years, but then COVID came along at one point. But anyways, we went to the very first time we were supposed to go. There was a few cases of COVID, but it hadn't shut anything down yet. So 9 weeks before the event, I was on this horse and it flipped over on top of me and it punched the horn in me. So it cut me up and broke my pelvis. And so anyways, at the expo though, we were to go there and I was to be in a competition within the event. And the competition was they bring in some Mustangs, so wild horses that have been touched just a little bit, but not really. So they take them and they were going to send them to a prison. And there's a lot of these like rehab programs they'll have at the prisons using the wild ones. So they were going to send the horses to a prison and get them where they could just be handled, but barely, and then send them to the event. And then we were to start them at the event and kind of show how you would get one riding around. But I asked the doctors, like, how long till I'm healed up to where I can kind of operate? And they're like, well, you can kind of move around a bit in 8 weeks. And the event was in 9 weeks. And like, I don't know if I want to crawl on a Mustang for the first time with 1 week to spare and stuff like this. And then the event phoned us up at one point and they're like, we're really sorry, but the way things are, I think we're going to have to cancel. And we're kind of, oh, darn, shoot. In the back of your mind, like, thank you, God. But anyways, it was an adventure, but.
And speaking of adventures, for those listening, could you explain to them that this horse doesn't literally have horns?
Yeah,
because you said
true.
It flew and the horn stuck to the saddle.
No, not that kind of Mustang. These are the wild horses that you gotta kind of.
Yeah, but where's the horn?
The horn.
Oh yeah, so on Western saddle,
there.
just directly in the front. Originally, the idea, but was if a cowboy is riding, they could rope a horse or rope a cow or something like this, and then you take the rope and then wrap it around the horn to get a hold of it.
Right.
And that now it's definitely people use it for that, but it's sometimes there just because it's there and stuff like this. But when you have one actually go through you, then it's kind of a little different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to let people know that this horse didn't have.
It is kind of a staple for every saddle.
Western.
Yeah, every Western. Okay.
Yeah.
The British don't have it because they never did any roping.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. I did a TV series a couple of years ago, Mayor of Kingstown, and the showrunner, creator of the show, writer, director, Taylor Sheridan, he ropes a little rubber cow between setups. So he's got his rope and he throws it. So no one else was talking to Taylor, so I went over and I said, so Taylor, do you call these things lariats or lassos? And he looked at me and goes, we call these things in Texas ropes.
Yeah.
So, but he showed me how to throw it.
Yeah.
And so now I'm really good at it.
He was doing it. Yeah, we were out at the trailer park yesterday, and he was doing it.
Yeah.
On Father's Day.
Cool.
Okay.
He loves his rope.
I throw them all the time. Yeah.
Everybody said I was really, really good at that when I was about 5 years old, and then I never got better. And that's at 5 I was amazing, and then never improved beyond that point and stuff like that. But it's fun if somebody gets into it. But no, Taylor Sheridan, we've never met him, but he's definitely doing a whole lot. I know he does a lot in your world, but it kind of spills over into ours, I guess you could say, a little bit. Like it builds up a lot of enthusiasm for the Western way of life.
Horse culture and the Western.
He's a cutting horse champion.
Yeah, he does a lot of that type of
a couple years ago, 3 years ago, he got voted into the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Yep.
He's a real. He owns a couple ranches, and he told me that like when he's not doing a show, he's actually a rancher.
Okay.
And he works his cows and have to catch them and brand them.
Well, they made like obviously Yellowstone, and they have the 1883, and then I think 1923 was the last one, and stuff like this. So there's every time they kind of bring out more of that stuff, it just kind of gets more and more people.
I love it.
Kind of enthused in that type of thing.
Buying boots that are made inside out.
Exactly.
But,
I've got 3 pairs though, so I can choose what color I wear.
I have to take a look. I think that's kind of neat. Now, that's more for ladies' boots?
This particular brand, Lacy Boots, they only make ladies' boots.
Right
so they used to sponsor me in barrel racing and pole bending in our TV show there for a while. So
cool.
Yeah, so I got to wear their boots, and they're really
beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, they're wild.
Yeah,
they really are. I wish everybody could kind of see them. They're pretty cool. They're different.
They're on the website.
Right on. Okay.
And you got a little puppy between them.
Yeah. So I raised registered Bernese Mountain Dogs. So we occasionally have puppies, and it was just such a cute picture because
it is a cute picture.
Bernese are they're very cute pups.
Yes, they are.
Is that what Dave has?
That is, my best buddy.
Okay.
He has a Burmese. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Burmese or Bernese?
Bernese.
Bernese.
Yeah.
Geez.
Burmese is the snake, and I hate snakes. So.
Yeah,
that's not what
you make boots out of
Yeah.
that.
You're thinking the python.
So why Bernese? What happened? Why did you fall in love with that little guy?
I just loved Bernese for the last over 20 years. So it was one puppy. When I was playing hockey down in the States, my mom and dad wanted to surprise me.
Liz, this podcast keeps taking turns.
Yeah.
Hockey?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that.
So my dad picked me up at Christmas time down in the States, and we drove up to Quebec and kind of took a long route, and he said, we're going to pick up your new pup, and it was a Bernese Mountain Dog. So ever since then, I just really love them. They were newer then. Now they're pretty popular, but I felt like we were one of the first ones to
Wow. And you actually breed them?
I do.
You sell little puppies?
Yeah, occasionally. We're pretty busy, so I only do it occasionally, but yeah. So
Well, that's awesome.
yeah, no, it's good. But
They're beautiful.
It feels like a full-time.
Dave's dog's name is
Charlie.
Charlie, yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous
Yeah, and he's
thing.
beautiful, and he's always smiling. He's one of those dogs, those
I
big tongue
know.
and big smiles.
Every day is the best day of their life.
Yeah, yes, that's what it appears like. Yeah.
Wow, I'm like that with my wife. You know. Yeah, shout out to her. Hockey.
Yeah.
NCAA.
Yeah.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
when did that start and when did it end? What happened?
Just a second. Do you know what NCAA stands for?
The National Collegiate Athletic Association.
The people at RFD are going, what the hell?
I know. They're going to be like, write us a special letter to let
it's
us
okay.
know.
I just looked it up on my phone, and I can't even find what it means.
Yeah.
I'm right on their website, and it doesn't. They don't tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's silly.
But yeah, no, my family was big into hockey. My dad played hockey with junior hockey and like professional hockey, not in the NHL.
Yeah.
But he's the lead scout for Team Canada women's hockey team too. So my sisters and
Your dad
I.
is now currently?
Yeah. So
Jeez.
my sisters and I grew up playing hockey.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and but I
Notice nobody wants to talk to Jason anymore.
I know.
Oh, I'm used to this part.
But yeah, no. So my main goal was to get a scholarship to the States, and I ended up playing prep school hockey actually in Maine for my last year of high school, and then graduated there and went to Elmira College in New York, and we won 2 NCAA championships and were inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame twice. So
Wow. Where were
What
you
a
born?
braggart.
Perth, Ontario.
That's awesome.
Oh, really?
I love it.
Yeah.
And where were you born, Jason?
Prince Edward Island originally.
Okay.
And then my family moved to Ontario when I was about 12 or something like that.
I smoked a lot of your pot when I was younger. That's crazy.
Funny. Yeah. But anyways,
What position did you play?
defense.
Okay.
So yeah. It's,
And do you still play?
I don't play anymore, like just with the horses and stuff.
Right.
I've been
Yeah.
too busy traveling and doing everything, so I don't play, like skate once in a while. But
You didn't get into polo, I guess.
polo, no.
Or
but
what-
I
isn't that what it's
honestly,
called?
we have.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is
polo.
that? Like hockey?
Hockey
It's
on
like
horses.
field hockey on horses.
Yeah, I played field hockey before too.
Oh, is that right, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I've played every sport almost if I could.
But to get to where you got to, as high up in the game as you had, you must have done this all your life.
I didn't. I've skated my whole life, and when I was 7, my dad put me in hockey, and I was actually in figure skating beforehand. I grew up on a lake too, so my dad would shovel off an area. We skate all winter there, but I was in organized hockey and played, all the way through till I was through college. Yeah.
And your dad scouts for the Olympic team.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the?
That's got to be a crazy gig.
That. Yeah.
I mean,
what did-
celebrating like crazy when we win all the time.
Yeah, but what does that entail?
So he travels around a lot and scouts at different camps, training camps, keeps an eye for young people coming on who are potentially going on to the team, and he helps make selections for the team itself. He doesn't necessarily go to the Olympics with them, though. Like he does all of his work around Canada and somewhat of the United States too, because some of the players do play NCAA hockey in the States too.
Canadian girls.
Yeah. So
That's a trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of Andrew's girls used to play hockey. Does Layla still play hockey?
Yeah, she was playing over the winter.
Yeah.
This past winter.
She's good at it.
Yeah.
It's fun going
Yep.
to the games
Nice.
and watching. Wow.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great sport. I feel like it sets you up for really good life experiences, and definitely go through a range of life experiences in a short amount of time playing hockey that you can apply later on in life. So
Sure. That's awesome.
yeah.
And the only thing I do with ice is drink. I've never played hockey.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that you did that.
Well, speaking of not knowing, Randy used to do medieval shows on horses, jousting and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. I actually started my stunt career basically 100 years ago doing Wild West shows and like, what do you call it?
And medieval type.
stunt with a buddy of mine.
Cool.
He's now passed, but yeah.
Were you the Black Knight?
No, he was usually.
Okay.
He had a character in the cowboy shows called Black Bart.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's his fast draw rig behind me on the wall.
Okay.
When he passed, his wife gave me that rig. He knew that Jim would want me to have that.
So would the main stunt be falling off? Would that kind of be number one?
To some degree, that's one of them. We would chase people on horses and then rope them and then drag them, and then I'd get shot or I'd get hit with a sword and I'd have to come off.
Okay.
I once wrote an article about stunting for a magazine, and I talked about how I came off my horse and I dislocated my right shoulder. So I found the only pothole in the entire field.
Oh, of course.
When you walk that field and all the grass is cut even, looks awesome.
Yes.
Right there is a hole, and my right shoulder found that hole.
Okay.
But then the editor of the magazine changed it from coming off to falling off. So it made me sound inept.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not planned.
I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's like my dad one time came off one, and this was not on purpose though, and kind of a smooth area, but he fell off, and he said he was lying there, not really unconscious, but a little bit out of it. And then he's like, "Oh my God, I'm blind." And it turned out there was one groundhog hole, and he'd come to rest with his face in the groundhog hole. But he said thought he was blind for a second. Then he said he could see light coming from the side. And he said, what sense did that make?
Oh, hilarious.
You know, it's funny. Stunt guys, in general, older stunt guys. You get in the business because you got a little cowboy in you, and you can't wait to do a Western, right? So my first Western, I got called to be the stunt coordinator to arrange all the gags for a Western episode of Super Dave Osborne.
Okay.
Remember that show?
I kind of know of it, but I don't know.
Oh, it's a bigger joke if you know what it is. It's that evil. He's a sort of an Evil Knievel type.
It's a parody.
It's a parody. Yeah. Bob Weinstein. Anyway,
And he's hilarious.
yeah, no, it was a hilarious show, but I had to come off a horse on that show, and I just rolled over the back end. I got shot, and I dislocated my right wrist I don't know if I dislocated it, but I jammed something. And then a couple days later, I'm in my truck and I'm turning a corner, and I did this on the steering wheel, and you hear it. No, it
was back in.
Whatever happened, it went right back. It was perfect.
Oh, well, that's perfect. I thought you heard it more.
No, it was great. But anyway, it was a fun experience.
Did you have to travel around with the Wild West show? Is that?
No, mostly southwestern Ontario.
Okay.
That was a Jimmy thing. That my buddy Jimmy Flatt, who everybody in the stunt business knows. They used to go to his place and train on horses and whatever.
Yeah.
But just whatever Jimmy set up. We worked the CNE. I did the CNE with the Bishops years ago. Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff.
Nice.
Fast draw challenge, shooting guns,
and now a lot of the young guys come out of the medieval times show in Toronto. You know,
some do.
There's a good number of guys. Yeah,
good riders.
I might be wrong about this, but I think a lot of the original stunt people kind of were cowboys that would go do westerns and then kind of move from the westerns to
100%.
Whatever from there.
Absolutely.
And that, so
absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's sort of the history, I guess, of how it all began.
Yeah,
you'd find a bunch of cowboys and say, "Who wants to make $5 falling off of it? Go."
Yeah, I know the one guy, I think I don't know him personally, but Ben Johnson, he was a famous cowboy actor, but he was making $1 a day and then went to Hollywood, and then I forget what he was making, 50 a day or something like this. So it's like at that time period to go from 1 to 50 times whatever it was you're doing. So I can kind of see why they kind of went that route.
That's funny.
Yeah, and you can see why Hollywood's so popular.
Yeah.
John Wayne, they were making John Wayne movies, and a fella named Chuck Robertson.
That's the guy they call Bad Chuck. Or
Bad Chuck,
like that, yeah.
Yep. He was just standing around, one of the cowboys on set, and they wanted John Wayne's character to leap onto the horse without touching the stirrup. Just one hand, grab the horn, and up you go. And nobody could do it. And Chuck said, I could do it. So he did. And he ended up becoming John Wayne's stunt double forever.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I know.
That's cool.
Those movies there, they used to have the one guy was Good Chuck and the one guy was Bad Chuck.
And
there was another one, that did the John Waynes. They both had the same name, so they had to have a way to come up
that's
with
hilarious.
the difference between them. Stuff like that. But
he had a white horse. His name was Cocaine.
Yeah.
And then they painted him every other color, every movie. Same horse.
Okay. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think they had to double him quite a bit. I don't think John Wayne, from what I've heard, was that great a rider, so they had to they had to double him a little more than average.
You're bursting a lot of bubbles right now.
Yeah. I should have said that. You shouldn't have put that out.
That's
John Wayne can't ride.
Well, he can. I would just say.
Taking the magic out of it.
Yeah, kind of ruining the day for everybody.
Well, speaking of magic, when police officers watch a police procedural type of show or something, they always
That's a good question.
Yeah, they're always kind of going, "What the fuck? This isn't how it goes."
Picking it apart.
Picking it apart. Do you guys pick apart horse stuff? Mm-hmm. Is it the same in the way?
I think like a Western, like a good Western, and that, I really enjoy them and that, but the ones that are actually a horse movie are usually so corny it's painful to kind of sit through it, basically. So when they make a good one, it actually tends to go over quite well. So like you're saying, the Black Beauty series, not that I would probably watch that one a whole lot, but something that's like a Hidalgo or Seabiscuit or whatever like that, those movies do go over. But the people that make them usually have no background in them. So the stuff that's in them, it's just kind of it's so off base that it's kind of just as now I'm picking on someone else, but Steven Spielberg did the one War Horse several years ago.
Oh yeah.
And the movie itself, everything with the war part, the scenes were amazing. You could see that they just went all out at it and stuff like that. But then the actual part where the story is kind of based around, it's that ain't gonna happen. It's just
isn't that
it's just
you kind of the one where the kid lost his horse and then ended up getting it back.
So the movie itself, it was the production of it is amazing and stuff like that. But it's just but it's just usually the people that make them don't have a background in what we do, which is kind of, again, maybe is why Taylor Sheridan is kind of thought so well of in this, because he legit does know what should be in there and what's just that's just silly,
of course.
and stuff like that. But we were talking to someone recently and they said every horse movie has the same plot. There's a they're going to lose the farm, and then there's a little girl that's going to train the horse and ride it and save the day and
Just a
stuff
second.
like that.
This isn't true?
Oh, well, not often.
Didn't you do that, Bronwyn, as you were a little girl playing hockey?
Yeah.
I never had horses when I was a kid. I just love them, and I took lessons. So no, I didn't get that opportunity. But
What about the man from Snowy River?
awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty.
The riding is incredible.
Yeah,
that's probably the
awesome.
one of the most loved ones ever. It's still like, I don't know if I talked to anybody in it that hasn't watched that. Like, and probably several times and that, but that's what I was kind of saying. Like when you get one that is a good one, people really attach to it for a really long time.
Yeah. But to watch those horses come over that cliff and down that hill, and then the riders when they're running, chasing the horses are moving. Those men are silent as, the horses going. They're great.
And
Yes.
I did hear that when they do that big jump thing, I don't know if this is true or not. They said they took a hill that wasn't quite as bad and then planted the trees all on a bit of an angle so that when you could show that.
So it looks
Welcome
steep.
to Hollywood.
And that. So again,
Giving
I
away
don't.
all the secrets
I don't know.
today.
Well, I don't know if that's ever said true or not, but because that one though actually was steep enough. If you did it in real life, you'd stand a pretty good chance of somebody.
But you could tell by some of the horses, just the way the horse was coming down,
Yeah.
that was on a bit of an angle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But you kind of, if you have some that are, if you don't want to be on one that's not very sure-footed doing something like that, because you can get on some, they're just really, really good. They can really find their way, and you feel like you can go wide open, and you kind of have faith that's going to be all fine. And then you'll be on another one, and you think anything past a trot, you're kind of worried.
But that was the story, though, the mountain horses.
Yeah.
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 That they could do that stuff when the other city horses couldn't do that.
Yeah. The city ones.
Yeah, they dress differently.
Now, when you watch a classic and you see these big wide shots of this kind of stuff happening, and then you watch something like a Django Unchained or something where all the horses there's explosions and they're all falling over and all this. Yeah. With movie magic, obviously you can make something like that look really good, but there's a whole bunch of cuts. Yeah. Do you guys see through all that? Do you think that the classics are done better, or nowadays are they getting riskier but better at doing this?
I think some of the old ones. Well, one thing is, I think some of the old ones you didn't have the safety rules and stuff like this.
Oh,
so
true.
some of the stuff that looked authentic was authentic because it actually happened.
Yeah,
and that.
true.
So like
running W.
and fall and
Drop
stuff.
the horse.
And that, so like in a way, I guess you could kind of say it was more authentic, but maybe not for the right reasons. And that then today's, though, I don't know, like the Django one, like for instance, they have the one shot where there's an explosion and a dozen horses fall over or something like that.
Yeah.
And I had nothing to do with it. I don't know any of the people or anything like that, but I did see something on that, and they were kind of showing the behind the scenes, and they really did have them all trained to drop pretty much on cue pretty darn well and stuff like that.
Is that a lot of work or what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's some
crazy
stuff.
To get one to lay down, you can teach it relatively quickly, but it's where you have to be there helping them lay down.
What does relatively quickly mean? Is that a half an hour or 6 weeks?
No, I would say like you could have one lying down somewhat willingly if they were kind of wanted to be good about it in a couple weeks. But to have it where they would just do it where you said, okay, right now, that would be a different story.
I see.
And that, so you could get it where if you had one like where you need to have a horse just laying down, if they had time to run in, ask it to lay down, and then start rolling the camera, you could get that done pretty quick. But if it's like, here's one standing there, we need it to suddenly flop over on cue, then that's going to be a heck of a lot
Not to
harder.
mention fire, explosions, people, cameras,
Gunfire.
lights.
Yeah, the gunfire.
Yeah, gunfire, all this stuff.
Well, the gunfire, like we get quite a few that we train to get used to that. And a lot of times how we start that is like with a bullwhip. And that's, you'll take a whip and just start cracking it very lightly and then start cracking it harder and harder and harder until it's about the same sound as the gun. But the thing with the whip is the gun is just bang. There is no quieter gunshot. And that's, so even when you have them used to it, if you just let go with one, it can kind of startle them. And that, but with the whip, you can kind of crack a few times, then shoot off the gun. They kind of know something's coming. But actually that part there, sometimes what they don't like is actually the smell. So you can get one that's really good with the loud noise and they do not like that burning powder smell.
Oh, what's that about?
I love that.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like the smell of it myself.
Yeah, a friend of my buddy used to fire his guns at a distance.
Yeah.
and he would progressively get closer to the horse.
Yep.
And then let the horse we smell the gun.
Yep.
After the fact, so you can smell the gunpowder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we used to be able to fire those guns right beside their heads.
Yeah.
And the horse doesn't.
We had one for sale one time, and I was shooting a gun off it, and this guy phoned up who had bought a horse from us. He was from Texas, and he said, "I'd like to buy this horse." And I was like, "Well, sorry, he was just sold today." And "Well, I really want to buy him." And it's like, "Do you have the money for him?" And like, just kind of wondering if maybe the deal would fall apart. And sorry, he sold. But whatever it was, when he saw us shooting off him, the reason he wanted him so bad was his ranch, they have a lot of wild pigs. And they said they're just getting overrun with these wild pigs. So the idea that he could have this horse that he could shoot at pigs off of was the whole selling feature. He didn't care about anything else about it. It was just that we were shooting off him. And that, so I was like, well, we've never had one that went for depopulating the pig population. that was his big thing.
That's hilarious. Populating refrigerators with bacon, though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Not bad.
It's true.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I have my whole head swimming right now.
Yeah. No, I like talking about the movies and the TV. I mean, this is kind of what we're here for.
See, one of the things that I've learned from our friends who do work the television and film industry with horses is the preparation time. Sometimes it's really difficult. So that you come in and let's say the movie itself only has a 4-week prep. Well, they don't have time for 6 weeks of training for horses. They may do it in advance. I don't really know. And by the time our friends get to work, they don't do it. They don't do what they want in a film because we don't have time.
Yeah. I think in a way that's one advantage we sort of had is because like as far as numbers go, like we own 70 of them and stuff like this. So like, I mean, we got a lot of horses kicking around.
Okay.
And that's so like, and there's some of them are trained for different things and stuff. So if somebody says, oh, we would need one to do such and such, like we probably have one pretty close and that, and we could put the finishing touches on for something specific. So like there was one commercial, we ended up not doing it. But they needed a horse to be on a stage, and I can't remember exactly. They had to reach out with one foot, like it was going to shake hands with somebody, and then we had the one horse that had just been on Canada's Got Talent that had just been on a stage the week before and handled that very well. And the horse was taught to do a maneuver called the Spanish walk, which is basically to reach with one foot forward and then the other foot forward.
Yeah,
and that, yeah. Yes. So like when they said about that, if they in that particular one, now the commercial ended up getting canceled. It didn't happen. However, if somebody told somebody you have to train a horse to do this, that would be like a month or whatever. And then Bronwyn went out to the barn and had it doing it in 5 minutes and stuff like this because it already had the two maneuvers. Wow. You just had to kind of tie them together just a little bit smoother and stuff like this. So I kind of walked by the one window and here's the horse reached out, pawing on cue and stuff like this. And like within a matter of a couple of minutes, you're like, that was pretty quick.
But cool. So this is awesome. But I don't want to give away the farm here. Whoa.
Yeah. We don't want to give it away either.
but you do clinics.
Yeah.
How do you teach a horse to do that walk? That's Spanish walk.
So mainly the technical part, you just walk beside them and use a voice cue that's kind of long, low, like walk. And how I do it is I put my foot forward and then touch the leg and then the leg paws forward. And so then I just put it as the cue. I'm walking and then the horse is walking and basically build off that.
Okay. So what I'm getting is the mimicry. The horse is mimicking you walking?
Well, I show the new cue and then I show the old cue. So the old cue to get them to lift their leg is to touch with my hand on their leg and they lift their leg. And then I show them the new cue first, which is reaching forward with my leg and then touch and then reach forward and then touch. And then I say walk, like long and low. So they know to kind of hold it out.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But they just know this. What is going through a horse's mind? I don't feel like I can do that with my dog.
Why? Why?
I don't know that I can do that with
the idea when you touch the leg, and it extends. Like that's what's actually making it happen is the touch on just at the top of the leg. They'll kind of reach, if you time it right, they'll kind of reach out, but then you kind of walk in sync with them. And after a while, they start to look at the way you're walking is actually becomes the cue.
Yeah.
So then you can walk beside them and they're like, oh, that's, if I don't move my leg in coordination with that one, then I'm going to get a little tap.
Oh, I see.
And that's,
So,
Wow.
yeah. And then you can walk out front of them like that and they reach forward like you're walking. They translate that to out front.
Okay, so if I wanted this horse to do this on camera by itself.
I would stand from me to you away.
Right, so you
and
just-
I would say walk, and I'd have my like 2 dressage whips or whatever, and I'd just like kind of tap the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
And they would reach. But they know that from me being beside them first.
Of course.
Yeah.
So you've done the training.
Yeah.
So now we're on set.
Yeah.
My frame is
Yeah.
behind the horse and just in front of the horse, and you're here.
Yeah.
Just off camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just do this.
Yeah. And I will say, though, like one
wanna do this.
foundation move for that is they have to have a great stop at Liberty because they have to stay back there. So you have to make sure they know to stay far away.
Right.
And that's one of your foundation Liberty moves in our training program. So making sure that they can do the move with us being farther away. So.
Similar to what you did with the horse that did the rearing on the mountain in the Toyota commercial.
Yes. That exact thing. Yes.
Well, that's awesome.
But yeah. No, horses are pretty smart. Like they can translate things pretty easy. It's usually the person that screws it up, not the horse.
Right. I think that's with any animal training.
Yeah.
well-
And I was going to say, you have to be very good at timing when it comes to training horses to a high level like that. Because when you kind of drop your energy, they know that that's the end of the move, so.
So what happens if somebody else that does animal training, horse training for the film and television industry, if they don't have a horse that does a particular skill, can they come to you guys and perhaps rent that horse?
Yeah.
Or have you guys come and help facilitate that?
I would say more the we go with them type deal, just
Sure.
because
Because we like to eat the snacks from the. No,
yeah,
just
yeah,
kidding.
you don't want to miss out on that
Yeah,
part.
we all do.
But those are so. It's just very. If one's trained to a fairly high level, the cues are pretty darn subtle. So I could tell someone here, this is the cue, and they would still, even if they really knew what they were doing, they would give
don't
it.
have the
They would give it in
precision
a
yet.
slightly different manner, which would be just enough to take a little bit of the good part off, maybe.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So
Sure.
maybe it
of
depends
course.
on the move, depends on the show, depends on what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Scene.
And that's
Yeah.
so like if somebody was good, they could get through it, but you could probably see that it maybe wasn't quite what it could have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, well, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Wow. No. The people's style's different.
Yeah.
The way they. I mean, I think that the basic technique might be correct, the same,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the way they approach something might be different.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense that
Now, can I say something about a whip? You mentioned a whip.
Yep.
And people who are listening to this, they have to know you're not whipping the horse.
Yeah, because the horse would run away. Like they're loose. They
Yeah.
can decide for themselves whether they want to stick around.
Yeah.
The whip is more or less, because it's flingy, it adds energy. So and also it can be seen from a distance. So if I'm 50 feet away from a horse and I put my whips in the air, that means stop. If I drop them, that means come. If I wiggle it on the ground, that means lay down. So they can see those more than they can see my fingers.
Sure.
But I can do all that with my fingers, but it's just more or less, I'd rather them see it and know clearly exactly what I'm pointing
that's why
at.
the guys at the airport use those big orange.
Yeah.
You don't want to rely on the finger cues.
Yeah.
You can see it from a distance.
If they're giving you a finger cue, things are going wrong.
Totally.
now, speaking of this, or on the same subject matter, a lot of people think that, you go see something like a Django Unchained and everything's blowing up and horses are falling down. I've never heard more voices in a theater go, oh my God, right?
Hurting the horse.
Yeah.
So what's really going on with the horse? Can we try to explain to people at home how there's just no abuse happening?
No.
and
Like for instance,
what a horse is feeling,
like if they're going to have something blow up and have the horse lay down or like fall down, and that would just be that they would spend a lot of time just slowly laying them down in soft sand for a long time until they're really comfortable. the more comfortable they get, the quicker they'll lay down. When they're learning in the very beginning, they'll do it very methodically, very slow, and it doesn't really look like anything very special. Oh no, because they lay down in the field all the time, and you're just asking them to do something they already know how to do, and so the only thing it is, not to get on the technical part of it, horses as a rule are like they're a prey animal, so they're always nervous about things as a general rule. So when they lay down, that is kind of them putting themselves in a vulnerable position. So there is sometimes just a little resistance on their part, because they're like, well, if I lay down and everything's around me, it's scary. I'm kind of at everybody's mercy, basically. And so that's a maneuver that you kind of want some trust in them. But anyways, you'd lay them down very, very softly, very, very slowly. Then basically you just start, as they got better, you could lay them down a little bit quicker and a little bit quicker and a little bit quicker. If somebody's sitting on them and they want to lay down, a lot of times they'll quickly pull their head to the side, and that actually becomes the cue, and then they'll kind of fall the opposite direction.
I've seen that for sure.
And but like I was training some there not too long ago to lay down with me on them, but it wasn't to look like a fall. It was just to lay down comfortably and relaxed. Okay. So those ones there, it was slightly different. I would take my feet out of the stirrups and just tap very lightly on the shoulder, and that was their cue to just drop out from underneath me. But it didn't look like anything was scandalous happening. It's just they kind of laid down, relaxed, and quiet.
Now, every once in a while, I see something like a horse flipping head over heels or something like that.
Like flip all the way over, you mean?
Yeah, or something like that.
In a movie?
Yeah, whatever. The horse, fall back, or a cowboy go over a horse.
I think a lot of those would be more a couple shots put together. Okay. And that's because if you actually want one to go all the way up over and fall back, you're kind of getting into an area where you could have one maybe get a little bit hurt. So, it would be hard to do that safely.
And also because it's Hollywood, you have fake horses on track, so that you cut from the actor riding the real horse, cut in tight, and then show a partial horse with that stunt guy, and that horse is being tipped over forward.
Okay. Sure.
You just marry them all together, and
these horses
believe in the illusion.
But they're very strong animals, and they're not like easily hurt. It's not like me falling over, right?
No, but at the same time, you do have to sort of be careful with them too. Sometimes it's not even really a matter of being hurt. It's just the fact that if they do something a little bit and get just a little bit sore, they're just not going to want to do it. And so like, for instance, with having them lay down, they'll lay down and be very comfortable about it. But if you did it 10 times a day for a week, they're going to get a little bit muscle sore, like not as in hurt, but just a little tender. So it's actually going to kind of go downhill. So a lot of the stuff like that, you want to start on it and then just leave them alone for a week or two, and then kind of go back to it and then give them another little break. That way they never have any reason to resist.
Yeah, sometimes less is more. Like you get a little win and then leave it alone. And then don't reharp on it. Like when we were getting ready for Canada's Got Talent, it really was a little bit of a fine balancing act. We wanted to practice our routine, but more for us, because our horses, like, they know how to do the tricks. So we would only do it like once a week, just so that
with the horses.
Okay. With the horses, yeah. And then we would do it on foot, so that we kind of had just our timing down better. But there's no point in involving the horses in our timing. We only made them do it once a week because, more or less, like a horse, when they're loose and stuff, you don't want to develop any bad habits. You do it too many times, they'll just run away after a while if they don't feel like doing it. You just can't make a horse do anything. You have to keep their mind engaged and keep it fun for them.
Sure.
So. Now, I was told that you approach a horse as you would approach a child. Does that make sense? Like a 4-year-old child is skittish and scared of things, so you would approach it slower?
Yeah, there's maybe a little bit of truth to that. Usually with people, you're trying to find a happy medium when they work with animals. So for instance, if somebody is really loud and really aggressive and kind of over the top, usually somebody like that can't read them very well, because they're just doing too much and it kind of bothers the animal. At the same time, if you get somebody that's extremely meek and mild, you're going to kind of end up with a horse that they'll kind of recognize that this person isn't leading anything. And then they kind of turn into a little bit of a pushover and stuff like this. So you kind of, that person that's in the middle is usually the better person. And of course, everybody's going to be a little too much extreme one or the other, but the aggressive person needs to learn how to tone it down. The person that's a little too meek maybe needs to step it up a little bit.
And I imagine there's a touch of natural something that you have.
Well, there'll be a little bit. Some people are just like anything else. Some people are better at some things than others and stuff like that. So yeah, I think certain people are probably better than others. But I mean, if somebody really put the effort in, they may not get to be the best one, but they could get to be pretty good.
I imagine, yeah.
So what's a horse whisperer?
A Hollywood term.
That's what I thought.
That's kind of one of those things. If somebody said it about someone else, you'd maybe take it as a compliment, but kind
Like
of in a
Howie
little bit
Mandel
of
said it to me.
Yeah, Howie Mandel said it to Bronwyn there.
Yeah.
Or there, but like if somebody walked up to you and said, "Ed, I'm a martial artist," that would be one thing. If they walked up and said, "I'm a ninja," you would maybe take that a little differently. And that's
probably true.
It's a great analogy.
But like in our thing, if somebody said, "I am a horse whisperer," you'd be kind of like, "Oh, right."
So what about these guys like Caesar? Whatever
Caesar
his
Milan.
name is. Yeah. What about?
dog.
I mean, he's a dog guy.
Yeah,
but do you believe it?
I don't really know a whole lot about him, to be honest. Like I know he's well thought of by some people. I know more the name than I do the person. But usually anybody in the animal thing, in a way, if you become too big a deal, there'll be someone saying, "Well, that's not really how you do it." But
Right.
a lot of it, though, too, is if you're teaching other people, in a way, you have to break it down a little bit. So sometimes the person that's like the real guru type, part of it's just sort of a feel that they have, but it's pretty hard for them to teach somebody else that way.
Yeah.
So
totally.
pretty much anybody that's brand name has to have come up with a bit of a way to be like, okay, here are the 10 steps to do this. It's not necessarily perfect, but it's better than nothing.
What you were doing before.
Yeah, it's way better than you were. It's maybe not the 100%, but it's the 90%.
That makes sense.
But it goes back to what Jason said earlier, that even the dog trainer will say that it's mostly the owner. Mm-hmm. It's not the dog.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing with the horses.
Yeah. So like in a way, if we were teaching someone to train their horse, you're in a bit of a, there's a balancing act because you're trying to teach the person, you're trying to teach the horse at the same time. And if they're both making mistakes, then that gets tricky and stuff like that. So a lot of it, but if you put it this way though, too, if you train the horse, that's great, but it will regress to wherever the owner is. And that, so if you train the
That's
owner,
interesting.
then the owner will bring the horse up and stuff
wow.
like this. So it's kind of like the give a person a fish or teach them to fish type
Sure.
deal. If you train them, all their horses will be better for it. So if you train the one horse, it's going to get better, but then it will come back a little bit if they're not on par.
There's a reinforcement component where that person has to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because the horse it's a diminishing skill.
Yeah.
The horse will.
Be like if a person got really physically fit and then sat around for 3 years, they don't pick it up or they're going back a bit.
So me being lazy over COVID?
I wasn't talking about you.
That's
awesome.
funny. How did COVID go over for people like you with horses and?
It was all over the map for us, and that because actually the market for horses and training in that was extremely strong during that time. Because it was something that people could do.
Right.
Like you couldn't cancel
Sure.
that. Well, I mean, there was a little period of time
All
where
you could do is ride horses and make sourdough bread, apparently.
Yeah, those are your two options.
Sourdough.
Apparently that was a thing during COVID, making sourdough bread. So.
But no, during that time period there, we were quite busy, and that the only thing we couldn't do was our clinics because you couldn't go to a place and have a gathering, so that stopped that.
Yeah.
At one point there, it was driving me a little bit insane though, because we were actually really busy at home training a lot of horses for people, and then but they had nothing, the owners had nothing to do and stuff like this, so we'd be getting phone calls and emails every day. What about this? What about that? What about the other thing? And like basically they were bored and had nothing to do, but we were swamped, busy, but we had their only outlet because riding was their fun and kind of their only escape from the world. So now we had it. So they figured if they phoned us 5 times a day, that was keeping them involved, which was getting maybe just a little awkward there. But I'm kind of happy things went back to normal.
Yeah. Well, they're asking everybody to, stay at home. Only so many people per household.
Yeah.
I imagine it gets a little difficult when you got 70 horses and
ours
probably a crew of people, I imagine.
Ours is pretty much all family. So that's actually the one thing, like they said, you have to stay home. And I mean, we couldn't do the clinics, like I said, but our existence is 90% home, like, and stuff like this, like the businesses at home, and what we do is at home, and they stay 6 feet away from everybody. Well, that's pretty easy, and on 100 acres or something.
Yeah, and I guess you guys can shoot your show and everything.
Oh yeah, everything was a go. We were pretty busy.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool.
Oh, man.
I'm not looking for an address, but where do you guys live?
Near Southampton, Ontario, so Saugeen Shores. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Thanks for driving all the way down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for having us down here.
It's been a pleasure.
No, it's not over.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm just asking
kidding.
where you live.
I'm just saying. I've had fun so far.
Oh, good. Same. So tell us about Canada's Got Talent, the experience.
Yeah,
How did it begin?
Yeah, how does that work? How do you get on?
Well, you put it on your goal list like 8 years ago, and then you just make.
Okay.
I don't know. Then it just comes about.
Just a minute, Canada's Got Talent's 8 years old.
No, it's
that's
not.
the whole thing. Bronwyn, like every year, we'll kind of make a list of what's our goals for the year, and then what's kind of the bigger ones that will take us a little bit longer. And then there was no Canada's Got Talent at the time, but she wanted to be on one of the talent shows, so she had on this. She wants to be on Canada's Got Talent, but it didn't exist yet, and stuff like this.
So they started it because of you.
Yeah,
I know.
basically.
Yeah, wow.
You're welcome.
So she was there. Well, I want to be on Canada's Got Talent. And then I remember we saw an ad now introducing Canada's Got Talent. And I kind of had a feeling, I think we're somehow going to end up on that. As soon as I saw the first one, I saw it right before Bronwyn did. And I'm like, I think this is it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And has anyone else done horses on that show before?
No.
Cool.
It's one of a kind act.
You guys were pleasing a crowd, man.
Yeah,
it's cool.
people loved it.
We were really,
Yeah.
we enjoyed it. I really didn't know what to expect. Like I assumed it would be good, but I just had no concept of what I thought
an
it would
interesting
be.
thing, eh?
And that, but so we applied the very first year, and then really never heard anything about it. Like we sent it off into thin air as far as we knew. And then the second year we did it again, and then the second year they got back to us right away, and they said the first year they remembered us, but basically because it was the first season, they weren't really taking on stuff that was going to be maybe really tricky to pull off. Like
Sure.
you can have another singer there. It's not really going to matter a lot as far as planning goes. And so then we went back and forth with them several times though. Like they wanted to just make sure that it could be pulled off.
That we weren't going to do something too dangerous. They wanted to make sure we knew what we were doing before we they committed to us, I should say.
Well, that makes sense.
But
Yeah.
I'd have to say with them too, they just really went out of their way to be good. Like they would, even things like some of the stuff, because what we were doing, they didn't really know what we needed or didn't need or whatever, but they would get hold of us with every little question and be like, is this okay? Will this work? What about this and that? So like, it's just absolutely nothing but good to say about them. They were just a
Did
great
they
group.
supply the flooring and the stanchions, or?
They
flooring,
ran out
yes.
the mats and stuff like
Yeah.
that, because it's actually like the hard
The rubber.
stage and stuff like that, and like they'd be slipping pretty good. But it was kind of slightly awkward in a way because it was fun though, but they didn't want to let the judges know what was going to happen. So everything there, we were interviewed backstage, and they would basically ask us to give a couple sets of answers. Like said, like one, explain exactly what you're going to do, and in the next one, tell us, but don't kind of give the details away.
They wanted to surprise the judges with the horses.
It looked really genuine.
Yeah.
You guys walked out, they were surprised.
Yeah.
But
That was
'cause
great.
At the one point there, though, we go out and Howie Mandel is asking us about our act, and they're like, so tell us about yourselves and stuff like this. And we're kind of like, well, we do what we do, and we like what we do, and we've done it for a while, and that's why we do what we do, and we're going to do it here.
Because you guys came out together
Yeah.
before you went and got the horses.
Yeah.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. Although even that was a little bit hectic because we had some friends there that were really helping us a lot that day, but we were kind of a little bit last minute. We were filming something outside just by ourselves, to a little bit of an introduction, and then they're like, oh yeah, and you got to be on the stage in like 10 minutes or whatever it was, and we're not even near the building, so we have to take off and hurry up and get there. And then we pulled the horses off the trailer, and you're just kind of praying they're still clean, because you didn't have time to actually get them very ready, and then basically pulled them off, and I threw the saddle on and stuff, and then had to hand them off to our friends, and then they kind of run us up to the stage, and we thought we had maybe like a little bit of time. And the one lady basically hands us a microphone and shoves us out the thing, and the horses aren't even there. yet and stuff like
Oh,
this.
wow.
So we're out there and you're kind of like talking and kind of looking over your shoulder at the same time to see if they're actually ready to go. And then at one point I heard the one whinny and I got, oh, thank God. Something like this, because you wasn't sure if they were still outside or something like this. But.
And the best part is that there's the alleyway and the door right there. You wouldn't have to take them up an elevator or anything to get them to the stage.
Oh yeah, no.
That's really good for the horse.
That really
Down
helps.
the back hallways we
Yeah.
went.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, no, it was cool. And then the judges, they seemed to like it. I would say Cardinal was hard to read because every time I looked at him, he has his arms crossed, staring at me, and I'm like, oh, he's hating this. And then he was like, yes, and he was really happy about it. And I'm just like, oh, that's awesome.
Did you get to meet the judges and all that?
Just briefly there, like in that moment.
Yeah.
But not backstage or anything.
The guys, they stayed at the table, but then the women judges,
That's
they
right.
came up
and
to
wanted to meet the horses
there and give them some apples and stuff like that. And then Ellie, crying out loud. The main, the
Lindsay L.
Yeah, Lindsay L. That's getting a mind blank here, but like kind of got to chat with her just a little bit there before and after and stuff like that.
So it was a fun experience. It
Oh,
looked
yeah.
like it was
Lots
a fun
of fun.
experience.
Yeah, we had a great time there.
It was kind of funny too, because the backstage, you would go from one section and get filmed a little bit there, and then go to another area and get filmed, like kind of all different little segments. Everybody kind of had their own little segment for the show that they did. But most folks generally rolled through each one fairly quickly, like 10 minutes or so, and kind of giving your background and stuff. And then with ours, I think because everybody's imagination was going just a little bit, they were all trying to be extra creative. And that's so at one point, Bronwyn and I were out like back, like filming like we're going to have a gunfight or something like that. And then the next one, there'd be something else completely different. And then the one point they're there with one guy and like, is there anything else we need? And he kind of looks at us. He's like, well, I assume you know how to line dance, because they're going to have some little introduction there. And it's like, no, I've never done it in my life. It's like this, but just the way we're dressed and stuff. So,
well, that they assume that.
Oh yeah, they assume it, but you get to really tell everybody's imagination they really want to come up with something for our little segment.
I feel like the horses sparked their creativity. It was really cool.
But it also shows how limited everyone is. To think that if you dress this way and you have a horse, you can line dance.
Yeah.
and have a gunfight.
Yeah. So it must have been more nerve-wracking just preparing for it than actually doing it, because it's kind of clockwork, right? I mean, it's what you do.
Yeah.
So how long in advance did you know that you were going to go to start to prepare?
Did we know
2 months?
Yeah, about 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They tried to let us know a little bit sooner so that, because they knew that there
you
might
knew
be
for
more.
8 years you were going to do this.
I knew,
8 years,
exactly.
right?
So I was ready.
Yeah.
But we had to send in a tape to show it. So like and they didn't really want us changing anything. So because they didn't want somebody pretending they're going to do one thing and then throw something else at them. And that's so originally when we sent the tape in, we pretty much stayed spot on to that. So we practiced, but we weren't really supposed to change anything. So we kind of held true to that.
Now, so you've done it now. Can you do it again, or is that something?
I don't know that we had a great experience, and I feel like that's where we're going to leave it with the Canada.
There needs to be a Big Brother, but with horses.
Yeah,
Farm,
exactly.
Big
Brother. Oh yeah.
Horse drama.
Yeah.
Reality TV.
The Bachelor.
Setting up your horse.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think the company that does that one, they do the Bachelor Canada.
I don't know if they do.
Or do they? Or I don't know.
They do other reality shows.
I know they do the Dragon's Den, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'd have an opportunity to do something with them again. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you got to bring the holy crap strap to the Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
I love that. The holy crap strap. I want one.
I want $25 million for 5% of my company. Here's the strap.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
A number of years ago, over a period of 2 years, our family was approached by 3 different production companies to do a reality show like the Butcher Stunt Family.
Okay.
And they wanted to follow us to set, and because I have 2 daughters as well that are stunt performers.
Yeah.
And my youngest daughter's an art director, and Rhonda was a talent agent for I don't know, about 112 years and a long time. And
Roughly.
all the kids grew up doing stunts. So it came down to, we really didn't want to do this. And they wanted us to fight and argue. And
Oh, yeah.
it's
It
my
was gonna
best
be
friend
one of
sitting
those-
beside me.
Yeah.
It's just
Weird.
not happening. Right?
Yeah.
But Rhonda and I had another show that we would like to have done, and that is travel around the United States in a bus, going from cowboy show to cowboy show. And because she was my agent, she would insinuate me into their stunt shows.
Cool.
And we found one company that really loved it, so they came to our house to do there's a punchline to this story. They came to our house to do a teaser reel, and so they interviewed Rhonda and I upstairs. And the producer, she says to her, "So, Rhonda, with Randy being a stuntman, is there anything you'd really like to see Randy do?" And without batting an eye, Rhonda goes, "I would really like to see Randy jerk off a horse."
Oh, gosh.
Yes, that's the same reaction that the producer. And then she started to laugh, and she almost fell over. And I said, "Well, honey, I think you might want to rephrase that." For anyone listening, my wife knew exactly what she was talking about, where we have a harness and a cable, and we get snapped off the horse, right?
Yeah.
So I said, yeah. Oh no, and it continues. So I said, "Let's try it again." So the girl, she asked the same question, and without batting an eye, Rhonda says, "Yeah, I'd really like to see Randy jerk off a horse." She's the same thing. Anyway, it's really quite funny.
Yes, you really weren't paying attention when we talked about this a minute ago.
There's a very small community of people that would probably want to see that as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, anyway, it got weird. It totally got weird.
There might be a magazine in that. Anyway,
Whoa.
that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite horse stories.
So what are you guys doing now? You're shooting season 7?
6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
six.
Season 6. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And is that what's currently running?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it starts to play next week.
Yeah. Monday next week, I believe. So
Amazing.
Really?
What time? What time do we catch it?
We haven't got the new schedule
That's a
yet,
good,
actually.
good question.
Because they actually,
jeez.
it runs 3 times
Yeah.
a week on each station.
So you can
and
catch
stuff
us
like
6
this,
times
so-
a week if you
Oh,
please.
amazing.
But-
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay. And people are going to your show to watch and learn how to train their horses.
yeah.
When you did season 1, I imagine you had a very basic level of what you wanted to teach. Did you know you were going to go 6 seasons, 7 seasons, 8? And you said earlier about keeping it exciting, but
Yeah.
70 some odd episodes, and
Yeah.
I mean that's a lot of horse tricks.
Yeah.
Are they all different?
Yeah, each one's different. Sometimes we'll be somewhat on the same subject and that, but yeah, like the first season, it wasn't on as many providers, so it wasn't available as many places, which is probably best for everybody because that was kind of our learning season and that. But by the time we got through a couple of them, then I was definitely happier with the quality of it and kind of what we were doing. But the first one, we had to keep it relatively basic just because we had to crank out a lot of them and do it pretty quick. Like there was one day there we were doing it, and we have this corral and it's round, and it had been raining and raining and raining, and this was the only day that wasn't raining. So we're trying to train this one horse in there, and it's a corral, but it looks more like a trout fishing pond and stuff like this. It's all full of water and stuff like that. So the stuff like that kind of made it awkward. But no, as far as how long we knew it would go, we really had no idea. And that we just have kind of always played it by ear as we went along and stuff like this. But the guys that we work with there at Wild TV, they've just been a very easy group to get along with and stuff like that. So
They obviously love it.
Yeah.
well, every year we'll kind of check in with them. It's like, do you want to renew the show? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Away we go again and stuff like that. So it's actually like although we get along with them real well, there's not a ton of back and forth. They know we know what we're supposed to do, and
Sure,
they're like,
yeah.
yep,
You're
do
gonna
it and
Provide the product.
send
That's
it in,
awesome.
and everybody's
That's
good.
amazing.
Stuff like that.
Is
So
it scripted at all? Like,
no, it's more like we'll just have a section of points that we got to go through. I know
Right.
I've heard in the movie world, don't work with animals or kids and stuff like that. And like when we're doing it, like we'll get into that a little bit. Like something will be, you're trying to film something and all of a sudden something will happen, spook them or whatever and that stuff. So sometimes it's a little hard to keep it. At the very, very beginning, we tried to do it pretty, not exactly scripted, but pretty close to a script. And that was way too hard. We just couldn't make it fit because something's always kind of happening.
Because if you're riding a horse and you're trying to say something, then something else happens and you're like, I need to stick to the script. You can't.
Oh, that's cool though.
But
that makes sense.
But you guys know your subject matter incredibly well, so that you don't need a script. You just talk off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of roll with whatever is happening. But at the same time, like the very first time we went to do it, I thought it would be relatively easy because we'd made like tons of like YouTube videos and things like that. And then we were used to speaking in front of at the expos and stuff. So pretty large crowds, like you get 500 or 1,000 people sometimes. And that, so I'm like, well, talking to a box isn't going to be that tricky and stuff like this. But then I never was really thinking there's no feedback. Like if you say something in front of a crowd, if everybody's silent, you know, it didn't go over real well. If everybody kind of smiles or nods, you know, you're sort of on the right track. So with the first season of filming, like you kind of talk and then ramble and then skip something and then do it again and do it again. And I did have to laugh a little bit though. We went to go do the very first one and I was like, I'm going to wing it like how I would normally do at an event. And I was messing everything up. Like I couldn't get my own name right and it's wrong. And Bronwyn's getting mad at me and stuff like this. So we finally got through it and it wasn't what I kind of wanted it. So then Bronwyn's kind of giving me a hard time afterwards that I wasn't prepared and I wasn't ready and Like, okay, fine. So Bronwyn gets all ready for hers a few days later. So I'm supposed to film her. And she goes out all prepared, notes, chalkboard, the whole deal.
I had a whiteboard.
There, has a whiteboard, and then screwed it up every bit as bad as I did, and bombed it 100%.
That's good.
And then on the way, she goes walking by, and I'm trying to like not smile, and that I'm kind of like looking down, but it's like sort of grinning. And she goes past, and you are such an ass to me. And I was like, so I was a problem when I messed it up, but yet when you messed it up, I'm also the problem.
So, you're married.
Yeah. But it took a little while, I found, to get the flow going. But
How long does it take to shoot an episode?
Well, usually we try to do it in one go, just because if you're working with one, you want to show the steps. So if you stop and start again, it tends to lose.
One go is 1 day?
Yeah, 1 day. Although sometimes what we'll do is film it in sections. So we'll have like, here's a short topic of 5 minutes. And here's another little topic. So sometimes when we film one full one, we'll then film like a 5-minute little segment, which could go into another one or something like that.
Right.
So sometimes having a few of the 5 minutes to help another one along helps quite a bit and saves quite a bit of time.
Now, if you're shooting 13 episodes, do you do it over a period of 13 days, like 5 days and then 5 days and 3? Or?
No. Usually we'll film, then kind of make that episode, like edit and stuff like that.
Well, it's fresh in our mind.
Stuff like that. And just we found that it was easier to edit when you kind of already remembered, oh yeah, the third one didn't go as good, but the fourth one was the better one, or whatever it may be. Stuff like that. So we found that a little bit slicker.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
And you guys are still getting along and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The editing process took a lot longer for us to learn, for sure. Than the.
What do you edit on?
Wondershare. Filmora, the commercial version of it.
Cool.
Wondershare.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
It's very user friendly, I will say, as opposed to like the Adobe one. It looked way harder to learn in a short amount of time, and we had to make 18 episodes in 2 months. So I needed something kind of beginner friendly to start out with.
That's working.
Now we kind of know it, so kind of scared to change anything.
Now
you kind of understand how to work one.
Yeah, and I imagine you guys have smoothed out all the bumps and all that kind of stuff, and you're sort of on a good
I feel like we can go.
Now.
We can kind of go through and flow with it a little bit. Like we were at a big expo one time, and there's a guy there, and Sam Elliott. This guy.
There was a guy there.
There was a guy there.
No, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. It wasn't him. It wasn't Sam Elliott there. But this guy, he looks like Sam Elliott. And I was like, man, that guy looks exactly like Sam Elliott. I kind of thought it actually was for a second. And then he spoke. It turns out he sounds exactly like him too. Like I think he was an identical twin that got separated.
Okay.
And it's, for some reason, it flashed in the back of my mind. If we ever have a TV show, he has to be the guy that introduces it. Yeah. And then 2 years later, we had the TV show, and then asked him if he would do this. And he does voiceover work and stuff like this. Yeah. And absolutely. And stuff like this. But I was thinking, in my horse training career, I never thought I was going to have to find somebody like and we had to get a tune, like kind of a little tune made that we had the rights to and stuff like this, which we didn't know anything about, but we got it done. And I was thinking, at no point did I ever think we were going to have to find a jingle writer in our horse training careers.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
No. Horses have led us to weird places,
Now, do you guys
but
only
not
listen
here.
to-
This is fun.
Can they lead you to water? And no.
Now, do you guys feel like you're cheating on yourselves if you listen to rap music or anything like that?
No, I listen to everything.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we
Okay.
definitely have our own little tune, and it gets stuck in your head after a while.
Yeah, I bet.
But
I'm
I hope
watching.
it gets
Cool.
stuck in everybody's head when they're watching it. So
No, it's fascinating. You guys are very ambitious and doing a lot of stuff. My
Oh,
God.
thank you.
I don't imagine that the future
impressive.
of tech really is in your way.
No, actually, in a way, it kind of probably will help us in the long term, and that because like we'll do stuff like sell training videos and stuff like that too. So, like kind of as new stuff comes along, we try to kind of be aware of it. I don't know if I'd say we're at the forefront of all of it, but if something's kind of taking hold, we try to
Yeah.
be there.
Are people still buying videos?
More than maybe a person would think.
Yeah.
Like there's still
Really,
a fair
eh?
bit of
Yeah.
that, but then like with what we do, a lot of our clientele is sort of like we have lots of like teenagers and 20-year-olds too that kind of do go along with us on this too. But a lot of it's people that had been watching VHSs and stuff like this, and then maybe switched to DVDs, but didn't switch past that one yet and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Who's doing that? Man.
There's horse people.
Yeah.
They still got their VHS machines.
Yeah. I mean,
not the VHS, the next one.
yeah,
The DVDs.
well, the future tech is obviously freaking out a lot of people. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
And so,
The one thing in our world, I would say though, it's made it where I don't know how to put this, but it has let everybody be an expert. So for instance, somebody can make a YouTube thing and be like, well, this is how you do this and this is how you do that. And it might be somebody that has
a lot of that out there.
no experience. Yeah, it's probably across the board in every industry.
That's interesting.
And but somebody be like, well, I'm now the expert. And it's kind of like, well, you weren't the expert yesterday. But now if you have a camera, you kind of make yourself that way.
Well,
Well, just wait for my my horse videos. That
yeah.
Some of my favorite videos out there of like the old school kung fu guys or martial artists where a bunch of guys come at them to attack them, but they just use the
the
movements.
bullshito, the bullshit.
bullshit.
Yeah. I think there's one I saw.
Yeah,
It had like
fucking
20
hilarious.
people, and the guy brushes the one and knocks everybody in a row down.
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that.
What?
Is this not true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
probably.
doesn't really happen.
Oh my.
The ninjas. That's so funny. Yeah, the bullshito.
Yeah. There's got to be a lot of that in your world.
Do you get that in yours quite a bit?
Oh well, as I'm
it's
a
everywhere.
lifelong martial artist, and yeah, you do. They're everywhere.
Yeah. In the stunt industry,
Not really.
I mean, you got a lot of daredevils and jackass type stuff on the internet, and some guys try to get maybe into the industry with that sort of nature first.
yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if there's nobody training. Not that I'm aware of training stunts on YouTube that aren't professional
I don't think so.
stunt form. I guess we don't even look for it.
No,
I'm going to look for
I've
it.
never looked for it.
They're not around to
I'd
tell
love
the
to find
tale.
that.
Yeah, they're just not there anymore.
But I imagine you guys,
Yeah.
you spend a lot of your time, if you're dealing with people bringing you horses, you're spending a lot of time correcting mistakes, correcting what someone who told them they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. And a lot of it's actually not intentional. So, like, for instance, you'll just be giving somebody advice because they're trying to help their friend and stuff like that. But it's like not the right advice.
Sure.
And stuff like
It's
that.
just
So-
bad habits.
Yeah. So you'll kind of go down a road that is then very hard to spiral all the way out again.
How can someone tell? Like, okay, so we're fairly local here. We're in Canada. If someone was from Australia, or pick a country, because everybody listens to this podcast all over the world.
Yep. As we know. Yep.
How is someone to know that they're being scammed or mistaken?
I would kind of say a lot of it would have to do with like, I think if a person makes an effort, like if you look somebody up online, there's going to be enough there if you kind of dig into it that kind of gives you an indication.
Reviews,
whether they're-
comments.
Yeah, and like kind of like for instance, if they are showing if they're winning a lot, like it kind of gives they're not necessarily good, but I mean, they probably to some degree know what they're doing. Or like if you look them up, if they're at like a lot of the big expos and stuff like that, like they vet us pretty hard to ever be allowed to go to one of those things. So if somebody's consistently there, good. That's kind of an okay. You've sort of been approved. Like it's not a seal of approval, but I mean, it gives you an indication and stuff like this. So you can
acceptance by the industry.
Yeah. That's maybe the best way to put it. And that, so I think that a lot of it is though too, somebody will learn something from somebody that does know what they're doing, not really understand the context, and then tell it to the friend and stuff like this. So it's kind of the right idea, but it kind of got watered down and misunderstood over time.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
But there's got to be horse trainers out there that really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get some of that, but
kind of like your martial arts thing. It starts out with one club. They train 10 black belts, and each one of those black belts
watered down.
Have their own club, and then and it keeps on growing like that, and eventually,
not everybody's a good teacher.
Yeah, no,
that's true.
And there's competition and money and other things.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it too. Like, if the ones that are not as experienced in it, again, I don't feel most of them are trying to be a problem. Like, I don't think they're trying to put themselves off as something they're not. But it's just, I think with what we do, you have to have a certain amount of experience. So, like, if you could train 10 horses, you might have done a good job on all 10. But if you tell somebody, I'm a horse trainer, send me a whole bunch of horses, you're going to run into a few that are going to be a lot harder probably than those 10, and you don't have experience in that area. So like kind of the easy ones will let you kind of skate through a little bit. But if you get that real tough one, then you kind of need that person that's worked with hundreds of them, because they're going to know how to handle that one. That's maybe makes the difference. You could do a pretty good job with a lot of them, but if it's somebody gets that one that they've never.
What makes a tough horse?
There's just different things. Like sometimes it'll be that somebody's worked with them and taught them a bunch of habits that are bad or dangerous or something like that. So if you get one that's learned how to buck really hard and stuff like that, like you could still go through the steps and maybe feel like you're doing a good job. But if you get on and you missed one little thing and he plants you into the ground, like then that's going to be a different story or something like that. Or if somebody's accidentally taught one to rear up, well, you can be a good rider and a good trainer, but he could still flip over on you and hurt you pretty bad.
Do people come to you with their horses that are maybe have bad habits and you guys got to fix it?
That was a big part of what we did for a really long time.
Yeah.
And that we still do some of it, but just we've got enough other things on the go that we can kind of only concentrate on so many things. But there's probably a bigger market for fixing things than teaching things.
Do each of your 70 horses have names?
Sense.
Well,
they have registered names.
They're registered, so like with an association, so everyone will be like, this is its official name. Now, being totally honest, we don't go out and say 70 different names and no.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There'll be like
some of them have names.
It'll be like that horse we refer to it. It's that color that has the 2 white back legs on it. Like, kind of. Like,
do you ride them also? Or
No, like not everything. Like we raise them too, so you got a lot of mothers with babies and stuff like that too kicking around. And the stallions, like they're trained to ride, but like they got other plans they're more important in other ways.
Interesting. Well, guys,
I've got way more questions.
Well, keep going. Keep going.
Okay, so how young? Okay, so teach me.
Okay.
A male baby horse is called a
colt,
and a female baby horse is called a
filly.
And they're all foals?
Yep.
Yep.
Copy that.
Yeah.
So
and when they leave their mothers, we call them weanlings. And then when they reach 1-year-old yearlings.
Do they feel like they're being teased, called weanlings? Like, hey, weanling. Yeah. But my question is, how young or how old, I suppose, must a foal be before you can work with it? Let's say I need a room, which could be a set built in a studio. Mm-hmm. I need some people there, some furniture, and I need a newborn, as newborn as you can get them, to walk in a room by itself, have a lady go down to her knees in front of that horse and cup its face in her hands, and another guy come up beside that horse and kneel down on his knee. I need that moment.
I feel like there's the one way you could get it done is depending on the age of the horse, it might still need to be with its mom. So if its mom's there, you can lead the mom ahead and kind of just stop the baby.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If it was a couple months old, if you had the mother in the background, so it's almost like if you started in the one spot and then it had to go forward to the spot it's supposed to be, and then the mother was behind that spot.
Yeah, so the baby could see the mom.
Yeah, that you could probably pull off at a few months or something.
You might have answered my question by saying a couple of months old.
Yeah.
And then they can go by themselves at weaning age. So
you
weaning
could-
age varies, but
Yeah, you could do it. If it by itself, we'll wean them away from their moms at like 5 months and stuff like that. So like in theory, you could start doing that, but the babies, they're not, they'll learn things, but they have an extremely short attention span. And that, so like to get them to do it, you would almost have to do it more as more almost through a trick or something, as opposed to like really having it trained well to do it. So
I don't mind shooting a trick, but I mean, our job is creating illusion.
Yeah.
But you know that newborn baby, the spindly little legs and tiny face? That horse.
Yeah.
Not the one that's 2 or 3 or 4 months old.
That there, if it was just a matter of, if you could set it up like in a stall where they were already there anyways and stuff like this, you could do it pretty darn young if you kind of were allowed to really work with it to make it work. Like,
So I would build my set in your barn?
or something like that. You could maybe haul out to one.
No. This is interesting.
Yeah, it would maybe depend how elaborate you were thinking, and that, like, if it was.
But it'll basically follow its mom anywhere. Like that's where its support system is. So you could use that to your advantage.
Because if it was at the barn, and that you could set it up in such a way where it's only logical choice is to go there.
So I see this entire room being built on a green screen in all the front, everything. And I build the room in CGI, but the baby comes in.
Is this something that is motivating you?
Yeah, it's in a Dreamer.
Oh, I see. In a story. In a story he's writing.
Well, I've written it. It's, okay.
Yeah.
It would depend too a little bit. Just if we had kind of the specifics of it, then you could kind of set it up to make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
we would put your.
I'm sorry. This whole podcast is about getting my trainers for free.
yeah. No, but I guess you're kind of putting it in the hands of the trainers at this point.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Which, I mean, not every director is that good. Well, no, this is my vision. This is my dream.
Well, I have a vision. I need to see this. There's a couple of things I need to see.
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly emotional moment for these two people.
Okay. Yeah.
But it has to be it has to be within a week or 2 of this baby being born.
Yeah.
Just up in Canada, though, you have to pay attention to when babies are born here. Like they are born around from about March to June.
How does the horse know that?
How does it what?
How does the horse know that?
That's funny. Yeah, but just the season up here, like a lot of people don't foal them out in the winter, so you wouldn't be like
if you wanted to film in September, that might be a problem.
Yeah.
Kind of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because.
Well, that's an interesting part of all this.
Because most horses are bred in the spring. So
your babies will start being born from January to May would be the run, but the majority of them are going to be like March, April.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And that, but anything like that, we can kind of figure it. I think it's kind of like, I know the animal people, sort of their complaint is that a director will want, here's exactly what I want, and you have to make the animal fit exact. Where if you kind of have some warning, you're like, okay, this is how we can set it up in such a way that that'll happen for you and stuff like that. But I know.
Well, I defer to the professionals, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, not everyone does. I mean,
yeah,
you're right. Like, I mean, that's what happens. Directors, they assume that because there's an animal wrangler on set that we can get animals now to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
You know, it is either that assumption or the other thing where you just kind of defer to the professional.
Yeah. I think too, though, this is kind of what I hear, but like if somebody changes their mind last second, that can be tricky because, like, for instance, you could put a cue on a horse that the horse only listens on one side, for example. And that, so suddenly they say, if somebody said, now do the same thing from the other side, it's just like a totally new
Oh wow.
thing
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah,
like this. So you have to kind of know where kind of the overall plan, so you kind of maybe know where to put a cue on. If like, I'm not talking all the time, but just certain.
No, but
very
that
specific
happens
things.
but
as well.
it happens quite a bit. So you can go, you come prepared, but you also have to allow for some creativity on the day.
Yep.
Yep.
Depending on what happens, right?
Yep.
So having to deal with the horses or any animal, you come prepared with what you see and what you've trained. And if I say, I need this, and you just have to be able to tell me no. Like
Sure.
it's just.
Yeah, I mean it happens
then I
as
have
well
to-
in our line of work.
Yeah.
A director will have already prepped for a very particular fight scene or something, and then we get there to set, and I mean there's always something that changes anyway. But I mean this exact kind of thing. You know what? Never mind. We want to do it like this. Well, we've already trained for this. We can't make up new shit. We don't have that guy. We don't have this.
That's right. And we don't have the hours. We don't have the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got the money, we can
And
have
you
somebody
can make
standing
anything happen.
by. Yeah, but
Go have some lunch. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
yeah,
I know there's one we were asked to do, and how'd that go? It just kept changing every 5 seconds. Like, no, you kind of get one. You're starting to get ready for this, and like, oh yeah, but we want like this now. And then you'd run out and try to change the maneuvers and stuff like this, and then now we change our mind again. It's like,
oh my god,
like not only is it harder, it's starting to conflict now. So stuff you're putting on is messing.
Was that
up
a show,
other things.
movie, TV
It
show,
was.
or a
It
commercial?
was that one was a commercial. And then actually, that was kind of tied in with that other one that actually didn't end up happening. So I don't really think they knew what was going on. But
yeah. I mean, you guys must get that a lot. No, I'm sitting here learning things. Even this thing about the birthing period. I'm sitting here like, oh shit, okay, you can't shoot the movie in September. It's unreal.
Sorry, so you got this stud, and he's feeling a little amorous, and the girl horse is going, no, you got to wait a month
Yeah. There's only
because there's no way this is happening in September.
Yeah.
that's exactly what happens.
The world of horses. That's awesome.
yeah, it is. Well, it's amazing that you guys get to work together and do this.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about what you do?
Anything.
Where anybody can get a hold of you? They can get a hold of you through your website.
Yeah, sure. If they need a trick horse or a liberty horse or riding horse or a horse.
And your Instagram handle and stuff like that?
Mine's at Bronwyn Hart-Irwin, my whole name, and then
Yeah. Mine, I don't hardly use it, but our Facebook page, Jason and Bronwyn Irwin Horsemanship, is kind of our thing that we update the quickest and the most often.
Okay, cool.
yeah. But yeah, no, we'd love to be part of more
Do you have any kids?
productions. No, just dogs and horses and rabbits.
So you're busy enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So we've dedicated basically our life to training horses, and we enjoy it.
Amazing. You guys are very skilled and talented people
Yeah,
with
this
a
is
lot
good.
of
Yeah.
passion, man. That's
I
really
love
cool.
this.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Thank
very
you.
cool.
And I'm going to come up with more questions once we finish.
That
Give
always
us a call.
happens.
Come up and visit us sometime.
Yeah, I know. Come out and see. Yeah.
No, that'd be cool.
Meet our horses and
Maybe you need a stuntman on the show.
We might. You never know.
We already know he gets injured when he falls off.
So
And you already said you don't do it. So I don't know.
I'll fall off a horse. Let's go.
that's crazy.
Well, before you guys go, would you guys like to sign our table?
Absolutely.
Love to.
Please.
All right. This is awesome. First double guest signature.
Oh yeah.
Pick a spot where we can do the
Pick
two
it.
of
Well,
them.
you can
And
do,
you
do
got-
it. No,
you got a
you do
whole
it up
whack
here.
of- you got-
Okay.
You got lots of table here.
Dee's going to put this on a wide camera, so people are going to watch you.
Yeah.
And
Right from there.
right in front of the shitholes hat.
Should I
Yeah.
take off the headphones or should I try to?
You can do
reach?
whatever you like. You can move your
Actually, yeah. I don't know. Will the headphones reach? If they reach, they reach.
Great. Yeah, sure they will.
They should.
Okay.
You can swing that. Okay, perfect.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
You let me choose where we want to sign.
Sure. This is great. Ladies first.
Might need to hang on to this so that I'm not looking this way.
I wouldn't expect this sign. The
Bron-
table would be the hardest part of the
Bron
day.
would notice that you switched the hats.
Yeah, she told me earlier.
Oh, okay.
But I wear the straw.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's at the bus.
True enough. True enough.
And just so everybody knows, the guest usually signs from the chair, and all the signatures are angled one way, and Bronwyn's now just angling the other way.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm teasing. I don't care. This is wicked.
Then draw a great big arrow across the other side to only this one.
Oh, I'm gonna draw a horseshoe.
Do horses have to wear shoes?
No.
No.
Like you put them on if you're going to be on surfaces that are going to kind of chip away at them.
Okay.
And stuff like that. Or if one's doing a heck of a lot of work, you kind of do it just to sort of lessen impacts. So like a racehorse, a lot of time will wear one just to, because they're going to be out working every day and
Right on.
Okay.
on them a little bit.
Oh, thank you guys so much for signing our table, and
Yeah.
thanks
No,
for
this
being
has
here. And
been a pleasure. It's been an education.
Everyone who signed, we watched you.
yeah, that's awesome. No, thank you so much,
This
guys.
is so good.
All right.
Oh, just
Bronwyn.
before they go, what's
Yeah.
what's a Liberty horse?
It's a loose horse that's taking cues from a handler.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah,
kind
so
of
it's
catered to the sort of the either trick deal or the movie horse thing. So like,
So I'm kind of like a Liberty husband.
yeah,
you can cue him from a distance.
I'm not
Yeah.
tethered to anything, but I'm
No.
kind of handled.
exactly.
Yeah.
Wicked.
That's
yeah,
for sure.
And it kind of runs into the Liberty stuff. Runs into the mark training, which is where you have a mark and the horse goes up to the mark.
Right on.
Loose. So, yeah, or does a trick on a mark. So yeah.
Who's Mark?
Oh,
But yeah.
Yeah. You
Dances
always have
on
to have a
mark.
mark.
I know.
Mark there.
I don't
yeah.
want this to end. You can tell. Can you tell?
Yeah.
But
It's a
anyway.
horseman.
But yeah, you can train one to go to a mark or something like that. So you just put out a little, that could be a piece of cardboard or a little piece of wood, the same thing, something what you guys would use, but teach the horses to go to
Go
it. So
to
in
it.
theory, you can let one go and it will over and stand there.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
Wow.
It is.
Thanks.
Amazing.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
having us.
guys.
This has been fun.
It was
Lots of
awesome.
fun.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. Cut it, D.